This time on Square Roots, long since erased from the records of time, there once existed two European clans who served as overseers of history for the powers that be. The Umbra Witches, dwellers of the darkness, and the Lumen Sages, controllers of light. The clans paid each other great respect, and their efforts to maintain the balance between them defended the just passage of time. Yet, one day, that balance was toppled. Bayonetta! Hey everyone, and welcome to Square Roots, the classic RPG podcast. My name is Jim Banks. I'm joined by Matthew Van Zant. He loves Bayonetta. Also joined by Johnny Enzo Brandon.
Forget about it. Don't forget to bring a couple of folies back for your boy Enzo.
Vanessa cannot make it tonight. She has suffered an injury and will not be able to record with us. As much as we want to joke about it, we shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
She's having a tough time. Oh. And this is a podcast where we play and talk about your favorite classic RPGs, one chunker at a time. This is episode 1 of our series on Bayonetta.
I'm so... the whole point of doing Bayonetta was to torture Vanessa with it, and she can't even be here.
Hey, good news. You're fucking torturing me. This
but that's
is assault.
Anytime a game I want to win happens, you're miserable. Have you not noticed this every time?
Oh, I'm sorry. Now you're going to make it all about like it's a fucking conspiracy. We're all out to get you, Johnny. It's not that you picked the worst fucking game ever made. It's my fault. I never like your games. This is gaslighting and abuse.
You don't like my games. They make you sad in the face.
What's the last one that you picked, Johnny?
Let's see. Lunar?
I love Lunar.
No, wait. Did I pick? Was Lunar mine though, or was Lunar yours?
I don't remember actually. I thought that was mine.
Me either.
I believe you picked Okami, which I did hate. Makes
think
sense because
Okami?
I think it's the same. Is it Okami? Is
It
that the
is.
game?
Yeah.
Isn't it the same
you
director
notice
as
that-
Bayonetta?
She paints
No.
Luca's face with...
it?
it is.
It fucking
Yeah.
sure is, bud.
And did you notice...
So just to be clear, you
when
were
she
like,
gets the
Matt hated
lipstick...
the last game that at least was kind of
Yeah.
like Zelda, but you know what? Let's try this one that's all fucking horrible sex designs and horniness and fucking just...
Sex design.
God.
Sex designs. That sounds like something a Cenobite would say.
Yeah, well, that's what it is, okay? I feel like this game was made by a Cenobite. I feel like this game is so horny that I can smell the semen coming off the game.
It's not that
Of all
bad.
the men that have jerked off with one hand, all the men who have played this
Hey,
game with
speaking
one
of-
hand.
Speaking of hot semen smell boxes, hot gaming news. Did you guys hear about that scent generator? The AI scent generator that they are coming out with that you can put in the room where you game.
Yeah.
And
They've
it will,
been threatening to have this for years, except now they added the word AI to it.
Yeah, how does AI
that's
make
true.
this work, okay? You still would have to put a bunch of fucking scents in a box, you know?
It takes a super intelligent artificial consciousness to be able to hear a fart and then produce a fart sound.
I mean, let's be honest, though. Most games that most people play are just bloodbaths. So really, they just need to be able to produce the smell of blood.
Blood and shit.
Blood and feces. And, the occasional alluring scent of a woman, like in Bayonetta. And by alluring, I mean terrifying spider woman.
She is a lovely spider woman.
Is she supposed to be spider-esque?
No, but she does have just weird long limbs. Her limbs are sort of bendy in unnatural ways, and yeah.
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I said it earlier this
Okay.
week, but I'll say it again. Aeon Flux called, and they want their character design back.
Yeah, it is kind of Aeon Fluxy.
Well, guys, before we
I
get
like her better,
real
though.
deep into Bayonetta talk, any
I
other
got
hot
some
gaming news?
Yeah. Did you notice Sony really kind of grossly doing this while Final Fantasy VII Rebirth news is all like, so no one's noticing. They think no one will notice they laid off 8% of their staff around the world.
Insane
Especially
numbers.
Now, did you say 80?
stuff like
You could not have said 8.
Eight.
Eight. Like Naughty Dog, Insomniac, and Guerrilla Games, the ones who are making the games that actually come out and sell. What the fuck is wrong with you dum-dums? Ugh. Shareholder value my ass. I'll show you a shareholder
to some
value.
degree, like they're, they hire people, they fire people, like.
I know that
some
it's
attrition should be expected. We can't freak out every time somebody, has to cut some of their staff.
It's a lot. It's the most they've laid off in a long time, and it's kind of gross.
I mean, it sucks. I don't know if it's gross. It's not. Well,
It's gross.
the way they're going about it.
They're
Gross.
A
closing
lot
their
of it is their
London
own
studio
fault because,
entirely.
they lost so much of their market value when they had to bring their PlayStation console sales projections down. Now they had to quote unquote right size their business. You know what I mean? It's all fucking fake number bullshit.
Yeah.
And they also released that PlayStation VR 2, which cost them a lot of development money and no one bought. And now
And that hardware is fucking expensive.
They apparently just released this week that they are going to be putting it onto PC, so it'll work not just with your PS5.
I saw that.
And I actually might get it now because
What a sucker.
I'd love something that works for both. I've never used VR though. I should probably check that I don't.
You
just
should test it out.
projectile
Yeah, you should. If you really want it, get it.
Or
but
projectile come.
yeah, you should test it out
maybe.
and make sure that it does not make you ill.
Yeah. Because I do get a little motion sick occasionally. Like if you're up on a high thing.
How do you
in
handle
games.
3D movies and that type of thing?
Oh, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Never
well,
had
then
an
you might be good.
I've never done a VR.
VR
But
to me still very much feels like 3D televisions, and 3D movies. Like it's a gimmick that they're trying to sell us that really doesn't seem that good or interesting. I could be wrong, I'm not pretending like I'm the fucking soothsayer of electronics, but I'm not interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
What else? There have been other layoffs, which are all terrible.
Hey, I'm going to talk about it in my level up, but Street Fighter 6 released their new character today. Hey, that's some hot gaming news.
Ooh, who is it?
Who was it?
It's Ed.
Who's Ed?
Ed was in Street Fighter 5. He was one of the very
Edward
late,
Norton?
one of the very late additions, I think, to the DLCs in Street Fighter 5. He's like a kind of a boxer type, and he's kind of, I think he might be like a Bison clone or like a Bison body. You know how Bison was trying to stick himself in other people for a while?
Well, why not? I mean, stick himself in other people.
He looks like he looks like a kind of an emo guy with like a swoop, one eye covered haircut.
Yeah, he is from Shadaloo.
Ooh.
And he was mentored by Balrog.
Yeah, he uses psycho power like Bison, but he's kind of a boxer type, like Balrog. And I actually did pick it up and play with it a little bit, but I guess I should save that for my level up. So
According to the website, he hates Idealists and M. Bison, and he loves boxing and landslide victories.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
I saw my favorite wrestler, Puff. He basically did the E Honda face first jump into somebody. It was a real fun wrestling.
Oh, the
move.
spear?
Yeah. It was very impressive for a very large man to do.
I remember when Goldberg used to do that.
Obviously, we will be discussing it in a moment as well, but just to speak on the news, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out today, the day that we are recording, which is Leap Day, February 29th.
Oh shit, it's Leap Day! That's all I have to
We'll
say
talk
about
about it in our level up, but the people are very excited. Obviously, it's getting great reviews, which is big news. You know.
I'm excited. It is downloading as we speak.
Yeah, I played
to my
about an
PlayStation 5.
hour-ish. Jim and I'll talk about it, I guess. No spoilers, though.
Yeah. I have a little bit more hot gaming news. I read on Kotaku yesterday that someone started
Is Kotaku still around? I thought it died.
Yes. Someone started a new blog that is all about
It's
how
all
Final
AI now.
Fantasy VIII is the best game. And the first entry in the blog just said, "Eat my ass." but the second entry in the blog was a very nuanced discussion, or a very nuanced little entry about how Eyes on Me is actually much more relevant to the game's themes than people like to believe.
What is Eyes on Me?
That's the
That was the
song
main
that
song from Final Fantasy VIII.
Rinoa or whatever that lady sings. Was that Squall's mom or was that other lady's mom? Lady's mom.
I think it was Squall's mom.
I can never remember.
All
Because
right.
it was Laguna's girlfriend, right?
And Laguna is Squall's
dad.
I'm Squall's
Okay.
dad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
I thought that Laguna never actually. He didn't hook up with her in the end. I thought he hooked up with that lady from the village. Oh, I don't. It gets.
Oh.
Remember?
Squall's stepmom.
I don't know. Squall's dad's ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And I think she's.
okay.
What's the name of the girl from Final Fantasy VIII?
Rinoa.
Rinoa. Yeah, I thought she was Rinoa's mom, but I could be wrong.
I'm Rinoa's mom.
I
Anyway,
don't know.
I do have a piece of gaming news to discuss, a real one. And that is that Nintendo is suing the makers of a Switch emulator called Yuzu. And that's
Nintendo is suing someone?
well,
Weird.
this is the first time I think anybody has sued an actual emulator maker.
No.
No,
there's been
that
like,
Bowser
it's settled
guy is
law.
in debt for the
Bleed.
rest of his life.
You could maybe let me finish my sentence before I...
Sorry.
All right.
I think this is the first time that a developer, a console maker, has sued a emulator maker since the Bleem, which was sued, I believe, by Sony. I had a Bleem.
Yes,
It didn't fucking
yes.
work.
No, it did not work very well. But yeah, so it's been considered settled law that emulation is not illegal. However, if they did use copyright DMC protected encryption keys, that's a problem. But it depends on whether they reversed engineered it or not, and there's a whole.
Well,
it's
I
kind of
think
an iffy thing.
From what I've read, obviously not an attorney here, don't really know, but from what I've read, what Nintendo is hoping to go after is the fact that they had an active Patreon, and that Patreon saw a huge spike when Tears of the Kingdom was cracked and put out on the web before it released. Before it was released. And
You know what, Nintendo? Correlation is not causation.
I mean,
Okay, that's
but
a
if
logical
you're making
fallacy.
money by, I don't know, guys.
I mean,
I
won't
think
pirate
old
games I can
emulators make a
buy.
lot of sense. Like, I don't think that there should be any issue with old emulators, but for current fucking hardware and games are coming
Yeah,
out
it's a bit
before
iffy.
they're released to the public on this, like that's actively affecting companies' bottom lines. And like, it's,
I don't think it does though.
I'm not.
Oh no!
I'm not trying to sit here
buy-
and stand for the fucking mega corporations,
Yeah,
but
you're carrying so much water for the
it's
corporations.
a reasonable. It seems like a reasonable step for a business to take. It's not like they're
You're
assholes.
right.
I
They do have an obligation to protect their own intellectual property.
Yeah, but I also like everyone bought Tears of the Kingdom anyways. It's one of those things. They sold so many copies.
And obviously, and the other thing is, if these emulator makers are profiting off of it via Patreon, like when emulation is done, I mean, I hate to say for free, but like when you're just doing it for the love of it, then it feels a bit different than you're doing it to drive those Patreon donations.
But also, Patreon subscriptions are all voluntary, and they're not necessarily for a specific good. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it is for the emulator, which again is not illegal unless they did that one
Yeah.
thing.
Is it a question of whether or not it's illegal? They're not pressing charges. They're suing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Are you sure about that? Because I thought you were, actually.
Nope.
Huh.
No. Remember, I work in TV shows.
Huh. Oh, that's right. You're the guy that has the touch of death, and every TV show you work on gets canceled. Thanks, Superman and Lois. I was enjoying you, but then John got the job, and now it's fucking over. No, I'm kidding. Fuck that, John. I don't care. The minute they cast that 5'8" tiny man as Superman, I was like, no fucking thank you.
Wow.
Okay, don't cast little dudes as Superman. He's a big man, okay? Like, I hate to be that guy, but it's the same with Jack Reacher. That first Tom Cruise Jack Reacher movie isn't bad, but I've read those books, and so I can't help but watch it the whole time going, but why is he so small? He's a little guy on his little apple box.
The Irrational got renewed.
Oh, did it really? That's good. That looked good. I never actually watched it, but it looked good. I'm not a network guy, but it looked good. All right, does anybody else have any hot gaming news they want to discuss?
I don't think so.
Well, listeners, I hope that you've enjoyed this taste of us arguing about emulation, because it's going to get a lot fucking worse when we start talking about Bayonetta. It's going to get a lot worse.
What? I thought we all loved it.
It's going to get a lot
Wyatt just loves it so much.
Yeah, Matt's like, thanks, John. I would never have played this game if it weren't for you, and you've really opened my eyes to a new kind of game and like a really powerful female character.
Kind of game, John?
Matt looks so disappointed in me right now.
I'm so fucking mad about this game. Hey, I'll give you this. At least it has a super easy mode, so the last couple of chapters only took me like 30 minutes apiece, because I didn't have to do anything, really. All I had to do was suffer through the... Okay, let's move on to how we leveled up. Hey, Johnny. I can see that Jim wants to talk about Final Fantasy VII, and I'm not ready to hear about it yet. So why don't you tell me how you
I haven't even touched it yet.
leveled up?
Well, let me tell you. Have you heard of a movie called Madame Web?
Of the bird?
I don't know. Is there a bird?
Bird is the word. Bird.
Oh, wait,
Bird is
bird?
the word.
Bird?
Bird is the word. I have heard about Madame Web, and in fact, you have told us a bit about it in the chat, but I'd love to hear your live take on it, because it sounds like the biggest piece of crap that's ever been committed to film.
You know what? It was like I've said before, and I know it sounds corny and like what do you call that? Like where it means that you're not going to give an actual opinion, but I have I can't tell the difference between a good movie, a good comic book movie, or a bad comic book movie. It seemed fine until the end. The end is legit insane. But until then, it was just kind of a normal Sony comic book movie. Like, it felt a lot like Venom. It felt a little low budge.
I mean, Venom was popular, but I would argue that it wasn't very good.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this
one's pretty okay.
I definitely enjoyed. I saw that in the theater because people said it was so good. It was still, it's a lot. Madame Web's about that good. I like Dakota Johnson. I will say that. I think that some people really don't like her, but I thought she was fine in this.
There were some fake quotes going on around the web this week claiming that I think Dakota Johnson said that the failure of Madame Web is proof that men won't watch comic book movies starring women. Of course, the quotes were fake, because that's how outrage culture on the web works when you're a right-wing grifter.
Right. I think it's definitely worth a watch for how insane the choices they make in the last 15 minutes are. So it sort of it starts off with like a flash forward of a character being killed by like a bunch of spiders women's, like a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
So may I set a bit of the scene for that?
Yeah, sure.
Marvel has had multiple Spider Women over the years. The most popular, most famous, Jessica Drew, in the skin-tight red and yellow costume, actually had a cartoon in the 70s. And is the most famous Spider-Woman. She is not connected to Spider-Man in any way. And then over the years, because, Marvel loves to beat a dead horse, they introduced several more Spider-Women. Different women that got different versions of the spider powers and had different costumes. Usually they last for a few months or maybe even a few years in like an Avengers book or something, but then they would all kind of fade away until Jessica Drew Spider-Woman was kind of repopularized in the 2000s by Brian Michael Bendis. And that, honestly, is my favorite. So it's interesting that Sony decided to do this basically Spider-Woman movie with just, because they own these rights, just grabbing up all of them and sticking them in this. Except for Jessica Drew, who I do not believe is in the movie. And I believe they had been talking about making a Spider-Woman movie with Jessica Drew. Now, this thing has bombed so hard that maybe they just stopped finally.
Yeah. So Madame Web's powers, I guess, is like
Web.
she can see
Make her sound like and
I'll also say that
like the owner of a brothel.
In Marvel proper, Madame Web is an old lady with essentially she can see the future. What? That's her power. I think she might be.
I've read some comics with her in it. Now that you call her an old lady, I do remember her.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
She is an older lady who basically her power is seeing the future. Which again, I remember, makes
like someone
this
was
choice
visiting her
bizarre.
house, and like and she's blind.
Mm-hmm. She is blind.
So there are. You might think that this movie's about the Spider Girls getting their spider powers because they do not have superpowers when they're Spider Girl, or they're just the girls that
when they're introduced.
So you spend the whole movie being like, okay, so they're gonna get their powers now, right? They're gonna get their powers now.
Did you say
right?
spoilers for this movie? I don't think anybody cares, but maybe.
Spoilers.
You go ahead for me.
Ahead
you tell me the whole fucking thing. I don't
skip
care.
ahead 2 minutes. They never get their powers.
They never get their powers.
They never get their powers. There are no superheroes in this film.
Also, I believe I heard that Adam Scott plays Uncle Ben, like a young Uncle Ben.
Amazing.
It's set in 2003.
Weird.
So
nothing should be said in 2003.
They're still desperately trying to be just adjacent to the actual Marvel Spider-Man movies. So they have to be like, this is set in 2003 so that you can believe that Adam Scott could be Uncle Ben.
Exactly. And he's like, I started seeing
never met Uncle Ben in the Marvel Spider-Man movies. They kind of skipped that, which is weird. But
he does say that he's starting to see a woman and he won't say her name. And I thought it was going to be like a big reveal at the end. Her name is May or something.
Oh,
they don't do that. They don't do that.
In these premonitions of the Spider-Women, does the webbing come out of their boobs?
No. One of them's got like weird spider legs coming out of her back.
Mm-hmm.
And their boobs are covered. So if there is webbing coming out of their boobs, it's probably going to like leak out of their shoes.
The arms on the back kind of look like the Iron Spider arms, right? I think they do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the Avengers Infinity
like?
War and Endgame when Spider-Man had the Tony Stark costume, the nano whatever costume. He had the little extra arms.
And in the Spider-Man video games.
Yeah, it's from
the Insomniac games.
It's from an old comic book.
Ola Poppy wrote an article about this movie, and he says that the only power Madame Web has is hitting people with her car, which isn't untrue. It's not untrue. I don't know. She does get some superpowers at the end. There are I don't know. It was all right. But the last couple of shots are so ridiculous. It really brought to mind the video for When the Rain Begins to Fall. I had fun. It wasn't like Cats. It wasn't like a next level bad movie experience. It was just more of a, this is okay. This isn't a very good movie kind of experience.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go for the laughs because I don't think I don't think it was bad enough for that.
You know,
like Cats.
that reminds me of Morbius, which I did watch for the laughs and frankly didn't have a lot of them. Like, it was just a bland movie. Morbius had a couple of good moments. Like, is Matt Smith is the bad guy, and he has like a weird moment where he like dances and like he gets powers, and suddenly he's like, yeah.
Wasn't Matt Smith already in the MCU and Jessica Jones?
No, that's David Tennant.
Oh,
And
right.
the one positive thing I could say about Morbius is that I think when the action kicks in where vampire-powered Morbius is fighting vampire-powered Matt Smith, I thought that the action scenes were actually pretty fucking cool. Like, they were just kind of using vampire powers at each other. They were turning into mist and bats and fucking going nuts. And I thought that was actually pretty good in a otherwise absolute fucking snooze of a movie. Madam Web also looked like it had maybe some of the worst goddamn dialogue just from the previews. Just some of the worst goddamn dialogue I've ever heard. My mother was studying those spiders when she died in the rainforest.
And the Amazon.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In Peru, the jungles of Peru.
In Peru. Yeah, the jungles of Peru.
What a weird movie.
So, do you think with the Spider-Verse and the Spider-Mans and Madame Web, are there too many spider people right now in movies?
I don't think that a lot of people are paying attention to these Sony spider properties.
Okay.
Except for Spider-Verse. People love that shit.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I mean, those
Spider-Verse
movies
was
are
good.
fucking incredible.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I do
Apparently,
think that
they reduced there was like a beefcake. So when I saw it in the theater, there was a beefcake Spider-Man with huge cakes just clapping. And apparently they reduced his ass for the home video release. I don't know if that's true, but that seems very disappointing.
Well, you can only fit so much data on a Blu-ray.
That's true. Those ass cheeks did take up too many gigabytes.
Yeah, so many gigabytes.
And the Marvel Spider-Mans, I think, have been really good. And they are talking about doing a fourth one, but I think it'll be several years before we see that. And I think that maybe with Madam Web, I also predict that Kraven is going to fucking bomb. So I think
it's going to bomb hard.
And Venom 3 even is probably not going to do the numbers they want.
I feel like Venom is the only franchise that has legs of the Sony superhero films. I feel like Kraven will probably do okay. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he's a good actor.
I think it'll bomb. I don't think anybody. I think it's got no name recognition. Nobody gives a shit. He's not interesting.
Nobody gives a shit about Kraven. Yeah.
So, other than that, I released a review of the Switch port of Saints Row 3.
I watched that this morning, Johnny. It was very good.
Yay!
I watched it last night. It was good.
And I gave it a
like my
like,
dumb jokes?
which all of our listeners should go do as well.
Yeah, go to Berries and Games Neo. Check out my thing. Anyway, so I'm writing the script for my next one. It's about all these open world racing games and how they make you be slim models. And it's going to be called Why Won't Racing Games Let Me Be Fat? And it's sort of a video essay on a body image and
good.
what, culture in these racing games is all about. So that'll be fun. And I'm trying to decide what open world game I should play next for it. Because I don't want to do Saints Row 2022 because I've already done a lot of Saints Row stuff. So, Jim, what do you think would be more fun and more popular? Simpsons Hit and Run, the open world Grand Theft Auto style Simpsons game, or Driver 3, the notorious flop?
Driver
3. I agree.
Okay, I'll do that.
I
want to do the
Hit and Run is known as like kind of it's a popular speedrunning game actually.
It's a lot of fun. It's a good game.
Yeah.
All right,
played the shit out of it.
Jim.
Can I throw in a wild card?
Yeah.
Okay.
Shenmue.
Yeah, that's not really the kind of game. It's like an open worldy, drivey, shooty game. That's the sort of games I'm reviewing for that series. Jim, how'd you level up?
All right, my turn. So following up on my last week's level up, I did see American Movie in theaters, and I didn't know this, but I guess the theatrical cut has a couple more like little talking head vignettes than the digital version that I own from Amazon, so that was cool. And I feel like seeing it in theaters, maybe it was just because I was more focused on Mark Borchardt as a character, but oh my gosh, his descent into alcoholism throughout the movie is, I know it stood out way more to me seeing it in theaters than it does watching it at home. Like when he does finally show Coven at the end of the film, and his all of his friends and family are there, and he's giving his like acknowledgments at the end of the screening. He's so drunk he can barely stand up on stage.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, if you go back and watch it, basically his acknowledgments is like, "Oh, thanks everyone, man. Also, don't drink, because then you'll end up just like me." And like he's dropping shit on stage, like he's trashed. But what a great movie that is, and Mike Shank and Mark Borchardt, just two of the, I think, most likable dudes. It's a couple of likable dudes. I also bought Final Fantasy VII Rebirth today. Quite an odyssey getting my hands on it. I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, I'm going to go to Walmart. Pretty sure the Supercenter by me is open 24 hours. Going to buy this game, come back, play it for like 3 hours before work. Got to Walmart at 5 a.m. I went into the door, and then somebody ran up behind me and put their hand on my shoulder and was like, "Hey, we're actually closed." And I was like, "Oh." So I left, put gas in my car, came back, waited, went in at 6 a.m. and walked back to the electronics department. And I saw the game. It was in the case, and I flagged someone down to help me. And I was like, "Hey, can you unlock this case so I can get this game and get out of here?" And they're like, "Oh, there's nobody here to help you until 7 a.m. And I was like, there's nobody here with a key to this case until 7 a.m. I was like, can you just like page somebody to come and get this game out of here? Like, that's all I want. And I waited 25 minutes and nobody came, so I went home. And so I was just kind of resigned. I was like, I'll just start work early. And then my girlfriend Amanda was kind enough to just go out and grab it while she was dropping her daughter off at school.
That's nice.
So
Aww.
I did get it eventually this morning, and I've played it for, I don't know, three and a half hours so far, and I'm really digging it. It's pretty good. What else? I watched the first episode of the TV series Shogun. Reboot of the 70s miniseries based on the novel.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good.
That also went through my work.
Oh, it did.
Oh, so we can expect it to get
You guys
canceled.
did a great job on it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a one and done.
Well, it's a limited series.
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? I thought it was a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
I thought they did make a sequel to the TV movie. But
I don't know about that.
I actually picked up the book this week, and there
cool.
are several sequels to the book, though they do space out going up to like the 1930s.
Oh, interesting. So that show's good. And then I also today bought a book called, oh my gosh, where's my phone at?
Yeah, it's interesting that production was a Japanese, Canadian, like French co-production.
Oh wow!
Like it was all with a like mostly Japanese headed, which is really cool.
Oh, okay. So they released the first trailer today for a film called The Watchers, which is a supernatural horror film written and directed by Ashana Night Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan's daughter.
Is it based on the Dean Koontz novel?
No, it's not based on the Dean Koontz novel. But it is based on a novel called The Watchers by an author named A.M. Shine. I did buy that book today. I bought the audiobook and started listening to it today. Pretty good. And I will say the trailer looks pretty creepy. So I'm excited for that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Matt, how did you level up?
Well, I also picked up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I've only played about an hour, so let me just go ahead and spoil the first hour for you.
No!
Shocking amount of Cloud's penis in the first hour. I was not thrilled about that, but I really liked that Tifa immediately takes her shirt off, which... Who knew that was going to happen? Definitely the type of game that you're expected to play one-handed, if you know what I mean. Bayonetta fans, wink! I already mentioned it, but I did check out Street Fighter VI's new character, Ed. And he seems pretty fun. I'm into it. He's a boxer type, like a Balrog, who is not in the game so far. And I don't really know the backstory and stuff, but he was fun. He's got like a neat little neutral kind of maneuver that you can then transition into kind of being like a Hadouken, like a projectile attack, which is an interesting way to do it. And it's pretty cool. I'm excited to try out Ed a little more. But I guess my biggest level up is that this weekend I checked out this hot new property called Shogun in the form of the Shogun board game. There is a Shogun board game.
Is that what you were doing last weekend?
I'm not sure if it's based or supposed to be based on... I mean, it's a board game, so is it based on the novel? I doubt it, but inspired by, maybe? I don't know. It's what they call a cube tower game. So it's kind of like a Risk-style game, but you have little cubes that represent your armies, and when you attack other players... You take your cubes off of that space and the players' cubes, the other players' cubes, and you dump them in this little tower that's got a lot of little nooks and crannies in it. And whoever has the most cubes come out wins. The interesting thing is that other cubes can get stuck in there. So you never know if you can keep count, but you don't really know how many of you, maybe you'll have some extra cubes fall out, maybe they'll have some extra cubes fall out, and it gives an element of randomness to the battles, I guess, in this board game. I played it with my friend Paul and my son, and I managed to score about 20 points, and they managed to score about 80 points apiece. So I got really beaten down by a 12-year-old.
You got your dick beat off.
Paul Paul was real smarmy about it, and I was like, buddy, I've never played this game before. You used to play, you bought this game because you love this game. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what nets me points. I don't know anything about it. Connor really kind of was lucking out a lot. And ended up coming in second, though he was in the lead the whole time, which was neat. He was really excited about it. And that's it. That's how I leveled up. Some sweet board game times. Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 7. That's it. That's me. You guys ready to talk about the worst video game I've ever fucking played in my whole life?
Wow. Is it that bad?
Johnny is currently holding a gun to my head while he says that. So just so that we're all on the same page, I am being kidnapped.
You're not. I'm just helping you come to the correct conclusion.
John is holding his foot or his shoe up to Matt's head, which has a gun on it.
Yeah, I do have a gun shoe, which I did learn from this game. So Bayonetta, what's your history with a Bayonetta? Have you played a Bayonetta before, Matthew?
No, this is the type of game that I don't like, which is to say, like, heavy hack and slash action games where it's just nothing basically but hack and slash combat mixed with cutscenes. I don't like the Devil May Cry games. I don't like the original God of Wars, and I've never had even the slightest bit of interest in playing Bayonetta.
What about you, Jim? Have you played this before?
I've never played Bayonetta, but I've played a lot of the Bayonetta likes, like Devil May Cry, and I feel like Shadows of the Damned is kind of in this vein too a little bit. Which
I feel like God of War
that's a Suda 51
somewhat
game.
Yeah. I think that the original God of Wars are hack and slash games.
Yeah.
They're definitely hack and slash, but they don't have like the acrobatic combat like these do.
Right.
It's more like crowd control, hack and slash, dungeon crawling kind of thing.
Would you say there's dungeon crawling in those original God of Wars?
Yeah. There's
half the
towers
game
and-
is one big dungeon.
Yeah.
In most of those games, there's one giant dungeon. But I like these games. I like Devil May Cry. It's not a genre I go to often, but maybe once or twice a year I'll plug in a Devil May Cry or maybe play Shadows of the Damned or something.
It reminds me of Ninja Gaiden Black too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Ninja Gaiden
yeah,
Black
another series
is
I'm just not a
punishing.
fan of.
Yeah, that's one I was never really good at, but never played Bayonetta before. I've watched a lot of speedruns and stuff of the Bayonetta games, but I will say it's so far, I think it's fine. Probably needs a little more gameplay, but I really, 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 really like the enemy designs. I think those angel designs are super cool.
I think Fortitudo has one of my favorite designs. Just like his face
totally.
on the back of the dragon, upside down. Oh, that's so cool. I love like the. There's so many video game references in this, and they're not like remember Pac-Man. They're not obvious ones like the eyeball. They look. There's these flying little winged sphere enemies that look just like monsters from Phantasy Star. There's some Outrun references in the beginning. There's just like all sorts of games get referenced in really cute and weird little ways, and I really, really like that. Anyway, let's talk about this game. So the game opens up with, it's kind of hard to like, I went back and watched the cutscenes and transcribed them, not so much to like, I'm not going to read them word for word on the show, but more so I get a sense of what's being told to you. Because a lot of times stuff's happening on screen as it's being told to you, and it's very hard to reconcile what the voices are saying with what's happening on screen.
I'm gonna watch a Lord Cleaner
subtitles.
video because I don't know what's going on in this game.
But I can't pay attention. Like, I don't know. I found it really hard to pay attention to subtitles when you're like jumping from bits. Like it starts off and you're falling like this. You're in this collapsing church that's falling from a mountain down miles and miles through the air. And you're jumping off like pieces of church as a voiceover sort of explains the relationship between the Umbra Witches and the Lumen Sages. And how there was a war, the witches lost, and then they were weakened by this. The witches, I think the witches won, but they were so weakened by the fight that humans came and wiped them out. And that's what like the witch hunts of the Middle Ages were all about.
Oh, I thought that they had lost.
That is true.
Yeah. Despite the tremendous radiance of God shining upon them, the Lumen Sages were gradually weakened by the Dark Witches. But yeah, the witches were killed by the Inquisition and all that, basically. And every single witch was wiped out except for one. That's what you get. I know why they're falling from a mountaintop and fighting on the remains of a clock tower and stuff? No. But it is a pretty neat introduction. I really, like, especially at the time, it was in the middle of it was 2010. So if you place yourself back in 2010, imagine that you're listening to LMFAO. Is that a 2010 song?
Maybe some MGMT.
Yeah, some MGMT, some Arcade Fire. That one song?
Yeah, some Vampire Weekend that's on your playlist.
Ooh, I love Vampire Weekend.
Cape Cod Kwassa Kwassa is on in the background. Yeah. And your all the games that were coming out around this era were so brown and dark and dingy, and this game is so full life and just really.
I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and stop you there. This game is brown as fuck.
It has some brown elements.
It doesn't have some brown elements. It has some color elements. But the entire backgrounds are all just dirt brown. Everything, all the buildings.
I gotta agree with Matt. It's Browntown. This game is Browntown.
There are some moments the characters do pop out, particularly Bayonetta. And there was a part in one of the chapters where I went through a magic mirror or something into like a green field, even though that was kind of washed out. But at least
Yeah,
there
it
were
is
colors.
desaturated. It is super desaturated, except for the main characters. One of the weird things with cutscenes in this game, too, and I don't know if it's a budget thing. I feel like it's a budget thing that sometimes they'll have a fully animated cutscene, and sometimes it'll be like the characters aren't moving, but the camera's moving around them, and there's little film strips.
You're seeing
you
bits
see
from the
that
films.
a lot.
I really
when
fucking
you
hate that, honestly.
You
Like, just
see
do
that
a
a lot when you
cutscene.
go to the gates of hell.
Yeah.
If you have like an LP to turn in for a weapon, it's a lot of that.
I do like when you go into the gates of hell, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the big beefy I didn't think there was a beefy boy in the game, but there is. There's Rodin, who is a big beefy boy, and he
is that. Are you talking about Vin Diesel?
Yeah, Vin Diesel's there, and anytime he gets an LP, he's like, "All right, I'll be back to get your weapons," and he always comes back just covered in blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
when he goes to get
hell,
your new...
right?
Yeah,
just
I think
to
he goes to
clarify,
hell.
the prologue of the game, at least for me, was maybe
we aren't even in the prologue yet. We're in the opening.
I'm sorry. Okay, we'll talk about it when we get to it then.
Yeah, so you're fighting beside so Bayonetta, very tall, very long-limbed, black-haired lady. Her clothes are her hair.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you find that out as soon as you get to the witch wind or whatever her super attacks
her
are
magic
called.
powers are her hair as well. And as you use like stronger magic powers, more of her clothes disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, like the longer a combo is, the less clothes she is wearing by the end.
Hot. So hot.
It's not hot. This is not. Listen, I can only speak for myself. This is not like an attractive character model. Like they look.
It's interesting.
They're so long limbed that they kind of look like spiders to me.
Yeah,
and
I think that's kind of on purpose. Like they look like. I don't know if you've seen like fashion, because the woman who designed Bayonetta does like those fashion, the sketches for fashion designers. And so she looks like that, but animated that way.
I don't know. I've seen those, yes. And while I can see the similarities, like this is even an exaggeration of that.
Yeah. And so
she doesn't
it's interesting
look
because
like a human, like a person. She looks.
No, she has a tiny little head. And I believe someone did a count that her head is like 1/15 of her body. The rest is all pretty much legs.
Her legs are so long that anytime she like squats or crouches, her knees are above her head.
Yeah.
Though that also is partially because the camera wants to shove itself into her crotch every chance it gets.
Yeah, because her design is somewhat like she's chesty and she's got a big butt, but the camera, it's you can see the two elements that it was designed by a woman, but the camera was designed by a man. So it's like she's not that attractive of a character in a lot of ways, but the camera sure thinks so, and is going to be up her
literally in her anus,
vulva,
as much as
in
possible.
her vulva, in her anus,
In her anus.
Then it cuts to a plane ride with some people in these like pointy hats, a little Grand Wizardy. I don't like their outfits. You know what I mean? And there's someone dressed like Carmen Sandiego there, who I thought was Bayonetta, but it is not Bayonetta because she's wearing red. So I guess it's Jean.
Yeah, it is.
Then the pointy hat people stab.
She looks
themselves.
exactly like Bayonetta, except she wears red and she has short blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't have long black
She
hair.
doesn't have glasses, and that's how you can tell the faces
that's
apart.
true.
She does have glasses, but they're red glasses.
Does
Yeah.
she?
Yeah.
I don't remember her having glasses, but I don't know.
So that's the end of the opening. Is that the pointy hat people all kill themselves?
Ah, yes, they all seppuku themselves. Basically, they all stab themselves in the tummy.
Cut to the prologue, a new chapter. You're in a cemetery. The credits are on the gravestones, and then when it gets to Hideki Kamiya, the game director's tombstone, he does have the worst character in the game, a real Jim Banks. I did call Jar Jar Banks accidentally.
You did.
Jim's chat yesterday. I felt so bad.
That was really funny.
So Enzo, I think putting Enzo at the beginning of the game, a mistake. He's a shitty
Yeah.
character who is really annoying to listen to, and he won't shut up. He's a real Joe Pesci, but like a Joe Pesci who says nothing of importance, really.
He's Home Alone Joe Pesci, where he's just constantly complaining about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And also is like
Enzo.
a pathetic little weaselly character.
Imagine Joe Pesci, but with a ponytail. He's like, what?
Yeah.
It's my birthday. Forget about it. And he does want to get home to his kids. Meanwhile, a nun is performing last rites over a gravestone. Enzo is very happy that this person is
I
dead.
gotta
He calls
interrupt.
him.
I can see where you're coming from, Jim, but he very clearly is Goodfellas Joe Pesci. Like, that's what this is. That's 100%.
Goodfellas Joe Pesci is scary. This guy's not scary.
Okay, but
No.
this game was clearly made by somebody that, is kind of a moron.
I'll meet you in the middle. I'll meet you in the middle. This is Lethal Weapon Joe Pesci.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think you nailed it. I think you fucking nailed it.
It is. And there's the title for this episode, Lethal Weapon Joe Pesci. So the guy apparently this is the grave of Eggman the Terrible, which is of course a Sonic reference. And Enzo's really happy that Eggman is dead. He's slightly worried Eggman might come back, especially when the casket pops open, but there's no Dr. Robotnik in there. It's Rodin.
I mean, I
And Rodin
definitely
is-
thought that Rodin was Eggman. He is bald.
Yeah, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be, because I thought
No, I
he
don't.
mentions
He's not.
Eggman.
He's definitely not.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when he came out, I was like, oh, I guess Eggman's not dead. And the game did not do a good job of explaining that this was not Eggman for
No.
quite some time.
Also, I don't know if these references really do anything for me.
No.
They kind of get in the way. They kind of get in the way of the world building a little bit.
A little. I don't know. I
yeah.
enjoy. I guess it's my like Ready Player One like dark side that I kind of enjoy this crap.
You the
You ever actually read
nostalgia
that book,
really hits
John?
for you.
No, I have not.
I think it's a better book.
reference it a lot.
It's very much a better book than a movie. And I'll say this: when I first
seen the movie.
read Ready Player One, I fucking hated it. I fucking hated it. I thought it was the worst thing I'd ever read. And then for some reason, I went something. Well, you know what? I guess I know what it was. Is that I saw that Will Wheaton had done the audiobook, and I was like, oh, that could be interesting. And I'm bored. I used to listen to audiobooks at work all day, and I was like, I'll throw it on my iPhone. And listening to it, reading it the second time, I really liked it. Something about all the shit fell away, and I was like, actually, like it's not good, but it's enjoyable. You should read Ready Player One. Like it's a fun, and there's a lot of references that you would, I think, like. You know what I mean? Like it's very aimed at kids that were born in the 70s.
Yeah. So Rodin, he does mention later, and you start getting him here, that he's collecting the halos, but the halos he's collecting are just Sonic rings, and they make the
Yeah.
Sonic ring
They
sound
are just
effects.
Sonic rings.
And
Which,
unless
I'm with Jim here. Another reference of where I'm just like, why are there Sonic rings in this game? Just because you call
you
them halos doesn't make it less stupid.
But if you play as Princess Daisy or Princess Peach, they show up as Mario coins and make the Mario coin sound.
I
you know what?
already- Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I think the collection of these halos as currency to buy stuff and the ranking it's a little too video gamey for me. Like it pulls me out of the gameplay a little bit.
I think it's because it's meant to be kind of an arcade experience, and when you're
Yeah, it's
replaying the
very
game, you want to
arcadey.
get
Sure.
S ranks. But
Every time
I've-
the game stops me to be like, let's rate that fight you just had, I want to throw my controller through my
well,
television.
the weird thing is, I keep getting gold medals, and then the game's like, "Here's a Joe Pesci reward, you idiot." And
well,
he's like,
all
"Oh,
the medals
no!"
are different characters from the game.
Yeah, I keep getting the Joe Pesci award.
That's the
Which is
stone. That was
Yeah.
well, maybe it's also the stone.
Is the Joe Pesci award like the worst one?
I thought
Yes,
so. I thought it was the
like,
stone.
I've never gotten anything below a silver.
Well, but that's the thing is the medals you get for the verses, I always get gold or silver or I've got a couple of platinums too. But
Yeah,
at
me
the
too.
end, because I died so much, I always get the stone award with Joe Pesci, like at the end of each chapter, not at the end of each verse. The verses I do fine, but I die enough that I still get the stone one, and I use healing items because of course I will. The game shouldn't punish you for using healing items. God damn it!
I mean, this is just a personal thing. It's not a knock on this particular game, but I fucking hate video games that like rate me after a fight. Like, I don't need your fucking S rank acclaim bullshit. I don't want it. And when the game stops to be like, here's how you did, let's tally up your points. Like, I'm not playing Galaga here, dude. Get the fuck out of my face.
I remember
with
the
this.
first time I saw this kind of like per stage ranking was Resident Evil, which I know Kamiya worked on. He wasn't the director of the first few. I think he did.
He
direct
directed
one of them.
Resident Evil 2.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
thought that was the other guy.
No, I was looking at it
interesting.
today.
Okay.
He worked on 1. He directed 2.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why the names of the girlfriends Luca mentions include Claire. So that does make
He
sense.
also he
Did notice
directed Beautiful Joe and
Oh, that's a good game.
one of the first, maybe the first Devil May Cry, maybe the first couple Devil May Cries, which is not a
Yeah,
shocker.
the first
I could see that.
3 Devil May Cries, maybe?
Did he?
Oh,
Is this
okay.
the same guy that worked on
those are
Final
my
Fantasy
favorites.
16?
No.
I thought they got the guy
think
from
so.
Devil May Cry for Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you'll have to Google that. I do not know.
I didn't see it in the list of his directorial stuff. So probably
Because Final Fantasy 16 was directed by the Final Fantasy 14 guy, but maybe a combat designer from
Maybe they had a combat
Devil May Cry
designer, yeah.
worked on. Yeah. So,
And Okami, which, as we already mentioned, we have played that before.
Yeah.
We played that on the show. It was okay.
I liked it.
I know you guys liked it a lot more than I did. I didn't love it.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, fun as shit.
So you're attacked by these angels in the cemetery. The nun takes off her costume. Gasp!
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's Bayonetta.
Oh, no. Yes. Beautiful Joe and the Wonderful 101.
Oh, I've never played the Wonderful One.
Which is basically Beautiful Joe, right?
You know, I didn't play Wonderful 101. People loved Beautiful Joe. It just did not work for me, which isn't shocking because, again, I don't like this kind
Wonderful
of game.
101's like an RTS. Beautiful Joe's a side scroller.
Oh, okay.
I thought Wonderful 101 was also a side scroller.
I thought
Is
it was
that
like
not the
a
case?
top-down RTS-y sort of game.
I don't think it's
sort of like Pikmin.
RTS.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Pikmin.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Oh, it looks like kind of like a Pikmin.
Yeah, so you fight these angels. These angels are coming from heaven to attack you. They're all golden with like beautiful ceramic faces.
I mean, just looking at
love the
Wikipedia,
biblically-
Wonderful 101's genre is listed as action adventure / hack and slash.
Oh, weird. Okay.
But I do love the biblically accurate angels here. I think in these first couple of chapters, these are all like actual, as described in the
Don't you remember
The-
in the Book of Revelations when they're like, and then the angels were super cool robots made of gold and ceramic, and they'll fight a
Biblically
long-haired
accurate
bitch,
angels
and her
are
hair
like
is her
eyeballs
clothes.
surrounded by wheels, which there is something
That's what
like
some
that
of
in
these
this.
are.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's like one enemy model that looks like that, and all of the rest are just like bird people or dragons with faces on their butts.
Dogs.
They are, but I like, so there's one that looks like a biblically accurate angel. The rest are named after like the angel hierarchies.
Yeah, it's all like Dante
or-
in
Yeah,
Inferno,
or
right?
they're named after virtues, which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of the enemy designs for me are my favorite part of the game.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
they're
the
like
boss designs
bad
are
or
amazing.
anything, but I don't find them particularly like inspired. Like, you're not going to find anything in this game that you have not seen in a Castlevania.
I don't know.
Fortitudo? When have you seen Fortitudo before?
Okay, but even
really like just
Fortitudo, like itself might be kind of unique with like the two-headed dragon, but like has a like body is a weird upside down face. This isn't fucking. I'm sorry. Like I'm not trying to be
That's
Mr.
new to
Contrarian
me.
here, but I did not find any of this stuff particularly like interesting.
Did you ever play Final Fantasy 13? Because I found it had a very similar. It came out the same year and had a very similar enemy aesthetic to like the big bosses that were gold and kind of ceramic. Like there's at the end of sort of the first area of the game, like chapter 10, I think, you fight this boss that's these weird stone faces on a gold machine. It's a really cool boss
John,
design.
you said this is 2010. Is that when this came out?
Yeah.
So around that time in movies too, you saw a lot of like action / horror films that had a lot of like religious influence. Like remember that? What's that one with the guy that played the robot that married Scarlet Witch? What's that guy's name?
Paul Blurp.
Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
That Paul Bettany movie where he played like an angel killing other angels. There's a lot. There were a few movies like that came out around the same time. Legion. It was terrible, but there was a lot of media like that where it's like, let's bring in angels and demons and shit. And this came out around the same time. It's interesting how all that stuff bubbles up at once.
Yeah, I guess you're right there, but like it's not like that's where it started. Like we've been seeing this stuff for fucking years in games. The Persona games, the Shin Megami Tensei games, fucking Doom.
Well,
like
they do, but Shin Megami Tensei monster design is very different from Bayonetta monster
and they're
design.
not invoking Christian theology. Like
sometimes
this is
they are.
invoking
Yes, they are.
straight.
Sometimes
Well,
they
a little, but not in the
100% they
Christian
are.
context.
Well, it depends because yes, a lot of Persona games are Japanese mythology. Like it's that guy and the girl who
that's
gets
not really
buried.
true. But the Persona games draw from literally every fucking
Everything. Pretty much
There's
everything.
Tons of
yeah.
fucking Christian mythology in the Persona games.
Right, but usually
This one-
like
but
the
like in
bosses
Ba-
are
but like in-
Izanami and Izanagi and stuff.
Yeah, but like in Bayonetta, if Jesus showed up, I would not think it was weird. Like if Jesus was just like a character that walked on
I
screen,
don't know,
it would
man.
not be
like,
weird.
It's, I hear what you're saying, but like for me,
It's not for you.
no. But for me, no, that's not what I'm saying. Yeah, well, it is what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, for me, like sure, but also like I read Good Omens in the '90s. Like I've seen this. Like there was a point when fiction that really dug into and played with Christian mythology was like transgressive and interesting.
Yeah,
and that
like
time
American
was not
Gods
2010.
and-
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
But I think it was definitely, there was a zeitgeist of pop culture at the time of kind of angels attacking and things. That I know it had been around, but it was definitely had a resurgence in 2010.
sure,
for sure.
I mean, this game's
Definitely.
and I love Good Omens.
I don't
It's
know
my
it.
favorite
I
book.
don't know exactly because I'm not paying that much attention, frankly, or certainly not reading the goddamn lore pickups. But this game seems to have the idea
You're
of
not.
like, there was a war between heaven and hell, and neither was good. And like, cool. But I read Spawn in the '90s, so I've seen this.
Yeah.
I've seen the
Actually,
derivative
that's
version
one
of
the
this
thi-
already. So to have a derivative version is just a step too
I think
far.
I love the aesthetics of this game, and I hate the aesthetics of Spawn. So that's part of
That's
it.
interesting. I love
agree.
the aesthetics of Spawn. I mean,
Spawn
Spawn's
is
bad.
like Spawn's super violent edgelordy.
Yeah.
This is a little less. This is a little duller.
This is super
To me-
violent edgelordy.
It's not bloody though.
Yes, it is.
Spawn is
Like-
like
out of your fucking
like when you
mind.
do those
literally like
executions,
throw enemies
the
into
torture
Iron
attacks.
Maidens. There's torture attacks. Every time you
But it's,
kill
like,
something, it
cartoony.
explodes in blood.
It is pretty cartoony.
So is Spawn.
Like, you're not-
cartoony.
Spawn is pure cartoony. I'm not
don't know.
defending
I just hate-
Spawn. Spawn is garbage.
Yeah. I just really
Yeah.
like the aesthetic of this
Hey,
game.
This
Spawn's
game is
garbage.
so bad it makes Matt defend
Yeah.
Spawn.
I read the first 300 issues of Spawn, and I don't think I enjoyed a single fucking one.
Holy
Maybe
shit!
250.
So after
I did a
you
big
clear
binge
out-
through at one point, and you know what? I was like, maybe this is gonna get good. It did not. I literally, no joke, read at least the first 200 issues, and it never got good. And I finally was like, okay, I've learned my lesson.
I had a problem
And
with
Seth MacFarlane laughed all the way to the bank.
like
Todd
the Seth
MacFarlane. Seth
MacFarlane.
MacFarlane is
Todd
Family
MacFarlane.
Guy.
Seth MacFarlane's
I hate them
a Family
both.
Guy,
You're
dude.
right. Seth MacFarlane laughed all the way
They're
to the bank.
brothers.
He's like, hey, I'm Ted.
They're brother. They're brothers.
Lost. Yeah, his brother Todd. I don't
Yeah.
like his aesthetic at all, and
His
I think it
Canadian
kind of
brother,
killed
Todd.
like not just comics, but video games and stuff. Like that aesthetic in Loaded and Twisted Metal. And I just hated the looks
I mean, it
of
was
those games
edgelord.
so
It was
much.
an edgelord
Yeah.
aesthetic, and Bayonetta is the exact fucking same thing.
No, it is not.
It is
It's
100%
pretty-
the same thing.
Like there's a lot of beauty to it, and I like that a lot.
What?
But it- I mean, it
beauty are
has
you
an
talking
edgelord.
about?
Like I think that the design of enemies are beautiful. Like I just want to look at them. They're so gorgeous, and I like Bayonetta's design. I like Jean's design. I like the environments a lot. Like the cities and stuff are really cool. The towers are neat. I think that
You know who I think has a very 2000s kind of lame design is Rodan.
Oh,
yeah,
like I
he
said,
reminds me
it's
of
Vin
Raven
Diesel.
from
Pretty
Tekken.
uninspired.
It is Fast and the Furious 1 Vin Diesel with like a few more tattoos. 100%.
Oh my god! Going back to my level up, I watched the movie Fast 10 the other night, and holy shit, that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in
You
my
know,
life.
I've
I
seen
like some of those
3
middle
of them.
movies. Like I think Fast and the Furious 5 is the best one. Maybe the only really good one. And Fast, and even being kind of a fan of that franchise, not a huge fan, but kind of a fan of that franchise, Fast 10 was garbage. But to be fair, many of those movies are garbage, so why would you be surprised by that?
I haven't seen very many of them.
I've seen 2 or 3 of them, and I hated them all that I've seen.
I mean,
they're all pretty bad.
I wouldn't waste your time. They're not very good.
No, I stopped.
I think 5 is good.
Like,
5 is
Fast
a heist
5
movie, and that really narrows down.
I still hated it.
It's a great heist movie, but
But
other
my
than that-
roommate,
like that.
she loves those movies. My old roommate, so she was watching, and that's why I saw 5. Anyway, so
I mean, even the original. I'm sorry, I'm not done. Even the original Fast and the Furious is just a shittier Point Break, and I don't really like Point Break that much.
That movie's shit.
Okay.
That's a terrible movie.
I mean, it's got its fans, and I'm not a huge fan of Point Break, but Fast and the Furious 1 is just like, what if Point Break, but cars? It's bad.
all right. So after we defeat the initial tutorial area, we go.
Oh, no.
It shows you
I'm
how
sorry.
to jump.
No. I have something to say here.
Yeah.
The prologue in this game is, without exaggeration, the worst gaming experience I've ever had in my entire life. I've never
I think that's unfair.
hated something more. I've never disliked playing a video game, something that's supposed to be a fun, good time, more than I hated this fucking prologue with knockoff Joe Pesci and knockoff Vin Diesel running their fucking mouths the whole time, with its boring combat, with its brown levels, with its everything. I legitimately, listeners, I quit. I said no. I said I will not do it. And that's when John kidnapped my family.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, look, in my defense, it was an easy way to get Matthew to keep playing the game.
So anyway,
So you jump down. It shows you how to jump finally, and you jump down to the stage below. You do land on Enzo's car, his brand new car. Unfortunately, it does get a little damaged. It's fine.
My car. What was my car?
Forget about it. You don't have any fizzles. This is gonna cost me to fix. You fight some more angels, and then cut to Enzo driving Bayonetta. And they're talking about the deal. She said she'd handle the funeral if Enzo gets information. Enzo's sad that his car is broken on his birthday. And
really,
but
at
it's
this point, the
still
hood is
running.
just kind of damaged, which is a bummer, but like, give me a break.
Yeah.
This car looks like something out of an old Batman movie.
It does look like something out of Crazy Taxi. I don't know if that's it is
Very
a
crazy taxi-ish. Yeah, it looks like the Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, I don't think it looks like an old. Batman was like an Art Deco thing, and this is just like a
This is like 50s,
fucking,
60s.
It's
boat.
like he's driving a Cadillac, basically.
Yeah. I do like that Bayonetta is driving out the window. And if you find Bayonetta's design is too horny, put her in the Dumpy Link costume. It is so unattractive. There's 4 Nintendo in the Switch and I believe Wii U versions. There's 4 Nintendo costumes. There's Samus, Link, and Peach and Daisy. And each Peach and Daisy have their own weapons. Link has a sword, and Samus has her buster or what arm cannon thing. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah,
it's fun. I would try them out. I think they all look pretty good. The Samus one too is not a sexy outfit, but Link one,
it just
looks like Dumpy.
Bayonetta's design sexy. I find it grotesque.
Yeah,
and
but at least
amount of time that the camera not just spends on her fucking genitals, but also just on her like licking lollipops and
she
touching herself
a lot.
And like
does she touch herself a lot? I hadn't noticed, but that's fine.
Not grotesquely. She's not fingering herself
sexually,
but she is constantly like rubbing her hands across her body.
I know she's always like stretching and doing weird poses.
These lollipops, by the way, she's eating dum-dums, which are the worst.
That's true.
Lollipops.
It's the worst kind.
Get a blow pop or something. Yeah. Get a caramel apple pop.
Well, the ones that you can craft in the crafting system aren't so bad. They look like a regular lollipop.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, but those don't show up in the cutscenes, so what does it matter?
True.
It's only an item that you
use.
You don't see it.
It's a little dum-dum.
Yeah.
It needs to be like one of those big
I just want
like Willy Wonka.
I just want to early on
like
call
a
it
Wowie?
out for...
She got a Wowie pop?
Yeah.
I just want to early on call it out for what it is, which is that this game is fucking insanely horny. Like, this is Leisure Suit Larry times a million. This is every sex pot character that you've ever been vaguely uncomfortable about ramped up to the point of...
It's like if they saw Jessica Rabbit, like, yeah, but imagine if she was horny.
And, like, part of me wants to, like, try to ascribe some sort of, like, transgressive, like, pro-feminism, maybe, like, the male gaze thing to this, but then the game constantly is like, no, sir, no.
It's interesting
I, the person who made this game, want to fuck this, and so therefore I must inflict this on you.
Matt, I agree with you and also disagree. John, I know you have a point to make, but I also want to say I feel like Matt's wrong in the sense that, like, nobody else in the game comments on Bayonetta's appearance. Like, nobody's talking about fucking her. Nobody's being like, oh, she's so sexy. Like, they kind of leave that to the player. Maybe you're projecting that because you really want to fuck Bayonetta.
That's great.
But
except
nobody else in the game is
other
doing it.
Fucking humans. Other than Luca, who so far she has been invisible to, and the one time he gets his hands on her, he grabs her ass. So you're wrong. A, you're wrong. And B,
does he grab her?
the game has no other people in it to interact with her. Just weird angels and the other witch that hates her.
And Joe Pesci.
All right.
It would be great if Fortitudo was like, I like it when I can see
does
your nipples, Bayonetta.
Constantly make fucking sexual comments to her. He's like, oh, baby, if you want to come in and sit on my lap, then that's fine.
What?
But otherwise, I'll make you a
transcribed
gun.
Rodan, maybe?
100%.
Everything Fortitudo says.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He never
Rodan. Not Fortitudo.
Oh, okay.
Fortitudo's a giant dragon.
Yeah, he's very polite.
Absolutely sexualizes Bayonetta. He is constantly inviting her to come and sit with him or whatever. Like, that is part of the game. So I'm sorry, Jim, but what you just said was completely fucking false.
Now, the thing is that she's insulting to every man she meets. But it is kind of in a dommy mommy way.
She is
like
insulting
in a make
to
fun
every
of me mommy
person she meets.
You know what? She barely got a dig in at that little girl. She only insulted her a tiny bit.
I'm just saying, like, you can't project like feminist notions on this character. She insults men. She insults everybody because she's
She
a
never
poorly
insults
written
Jean.
smarm factory. She's fucking. This is Lost Odyssey all over again. She's Chandler Bing. She just has some fucking smarmy comment to say to
Chandler
every
Bing is in
single
this
character
game.
she meets in the game.
Lost Odyssey Chandler Bing is in this game. His name is Luca. He lives on the second floor. He lives upstairs from you. Yes, I think you've seen him before in Lost Odyssey.
Is it the
'Cause
same
he's
voice
the same
actor?
character.
Like, what are you saying?
No, it's similar design and like the
Similar
way that
characters.
Yeah, he was-
Similar
the way
design.
he's cruising like when he at the beginning
It's
he
a
has
white
the same
dude.
haircut.
Yeah,
white
what's he
guy
talking
with a
about,
ponytail.
dude? In no way, shape, or form do those characters look the same.
They act the same
outfit.
totally. Like when he's cruising the woman on the street. It's very Jensen from Lost Odyssey.
Does that make them just like a suave hits on ladies dude? They're all just the same man to you?
With
Is that
a
what you're saying?
ponytail and a similar voice. Yeah.
A real
to
misandrous
me, those two characters.
position to take.
All right.
I mean, I think the guy's a scumbag, but like they're the same person.
He's a Jensen style scumbag. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so they are interrupted when when Enzo looks in the rearview mirror and does see the plane from the opening crashing down on him. It is driving onto the highway. Bayonetta uses her witch time to save Enzo and her.
Which time,
And
by the way?
then, yeah.
This is
I like
another
witch
thing
time.
about this game that I don't like. I warned you this was going to happen, so you're welcome. This is another thing about this game I don't like. Is like Bayonetta's a witch. That's cool. That's interesting. But what that amounts to in this video game is Bayonetta has superpowers.
Yep.
See the real Mary Sue.
That's not what I said in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is that, like, I like the idea of like an action game about a witch, but it's less fun when it just means that she's really good with guns and swords and also stopping time and walking on water and basically all the same stuff you would see in any of these fucking action
And
games.
she walks on. I think walking on walls during a full moon is a pretty novel
I think
thing.
it's pretty cool.
I like that.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. I don't dislike the weird jumping on walls thing. And in fact, it actually does lend itself to some decently interesting like action scenes where you're
Yeah,
like running
for
up a tower and shit's falling
Yep.
down at you. Like there's some decent ideas there. There's some decent bits there. But I do think
Hey,
overall,
listeners, Matthew
like,
said a nice
you
thing
could
about the game.
swap out the word witch for basically anything else, and you'd get the same thing. Like she just has superpowers.
Well, 'cause especially since what's her face in Nier Automata 2B has the same powers.
True.
Yeah. I mean, being a
Except
witch
your
apparently
guns
makes you
are a
really good
floating
at
robot.
shooting guns and driving motorcycles.
Well, yeah, maybe Jean just likes driving motorcycles. I don't know. That has nothing to do with her being a witch. She just, is a big fan
She
of
uses
of
her witch
motorcycle
powers to
tricks.
drive them real good.
Oh, maybe. All right. Anyway, so the plane crashes. Jean shoots her way out of the plane. She opens the fuselage with her guns. And then there's an awesome cutscene where she's on one side of the fuselage door and Bayonetta's on the other, and then they fight some angels. I like that. So they fight angels together. You find out that Enzo mentions that before this that Bayonetta awoke 20 years ago in the middle of a lake. She has no memory of anything.
Yeah, we get
So
some
when,
like vague cutscenes of her, I think in like a chest, like in a box.
Yeah, she was in. I think she was
In a
in a
coffin.
coffin.
Oh,
at
was
the
it a
bottom of the
coffin?
lake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's in a coffin at the bottom of the lake.
yeah.
I wish that's where this
And-
Been
game
there for
was.
500 years.
500 years. I
Yeah,
haven't seen
500
Bayonetta in a
years.
Dragon's Age. 500 years. Anyway, so she sees Jean, who has very similar powers to her, and she's like, that's interesting, that she kind of does all the same things. Jean seems to know Bayonetta, and that Bayonetta has lost her memory. And then they go to then she leaves. She tuxedo masks her way out of there and leaving Bayonetta there with Enzo, they go to the Gates of Hell bar, where Rodin sort of introduces the setup of the world with some bottles. There's the human world. There's Paradiso and Inferno. And Benna's like, yes, with Purgatory in the middle, darling. So that's sort of the different world setups. Enzo's there too. He keeps falling off his chair.
Am I to understand that Bayonetta most of the time is in Purgatorio?
Yeah, I think when humans look like ghosts to her and she's in Purgatorio, she can flip to the human world sometimes, like when she interacts with the little girl. But then the angels are invisible to her. You sort of see their ghostly outlines.
Yeah, I would say that when she's talking with Joe Pesci,
it.
she is very clearly like in the regular world, but then she does kind of do like a transition into, I guess, Purgatorio.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that, but
yeah, I think it's Purgatorio that I think she's kind of stuck in. I get the sense.
I thought too,
it's confusing.
Yeah.
She
She
talks
can,
about
like,
how she
go out a
basically has to
little bit.
kill a certain amount of angels per day.
Yeah,
Early
and she's
on,
doing it
and that
to
has
like
not come
bribe
up.
the
I didn't
demons.
catch that.
It has not
I
come
don't know,
up where
she's
they're
doing
like,
it to,
you have
like-
to kill so many angels or, something's going to happen. But early in the game,
Well,
they're
I think
like,
she's.
got to kill so many angels per day.
She says she's trying to bribe the demons. I think. And that's why she's killing all these angels. I don't know why she's trying to bribe the demons. I don't know. It hasn't
But
established
also, it
it yet.
seems
This is a
like the
bad game.
angels are provoking her. The angels are provoking her. We'll find out why soon.
Sure, they are provoking her by attacking her.
So that's the end of the prologue.
I'm not arguing with you.
Chapter 1 starts.
Bust your sword.
Finally. Enzo finds out that someone in Europe is trying to fence a big diamond. It's called the Right Eye from the set called The Eyes of the World. But the person can't sell it. Unfortunately, in trying to sell it, everyone has figured out where the seller is, and they are in the paradise of Europe, Vigrid.
So is this supposed to be like its own fictional city, or is this like, I get the feeling that this is like an alternate history style.
It's like
Well,
Luxembourg,
to me,
right?
it felt like a Vatican City kind of thing.
Like there's a couple of those cities in Europe, like Luxembourg and the Vatican, that are there. It's a city, but it's its own country.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought it was.
And this city, you find out, is so close to paradise that its citizens are almost angelic. They all kind of dress like monastery people. It's very sheltered, and
Yeah, they're all very monastic and weird, and
you do get a little view of the world there when Luca's being chased by cops who are authorized to use deadly force on him.
yeah, it's a very kind of theocracy kind of government.
Yeah. And you see her walking around the train station. Everyday humans are looking like ghosts to her. There's a security lockdown, and she has to use witch time to get through some doors, which you have to
I like these witch time things. It's a good reminder that I can dodge attacks.
Yes.
Because I'm actually terrible at remembering that I can just dodge an attack.
You definitely, that's the only way to survive a lot. Like a lot of these enemies can't be damaged unless you're in witch time or have a weapon.
Yeah.
I love picking up the weapons too. I think that's a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. The weapons that you get from the LPs, which I think you get the first one in the next chapter, are so fun to play. Like the variety from the weapons is probably my favorite part.
I haven't
of the game
used
so
them
far.
yet because every strategy thing I've seen
really?
has said to buy the techniques first and save the weapons for later.
Oh, I haven't been doing that. Like like weapons you don't have to buy. Like when you collect those LPs out in the world, if you go to the Gates of Hell, it'll automatically trigger little cutscenes where Rodan will go to hell and then bring back weapons for you. I think at this point, at the end of the
how do you
chunker,
use those?
You have to go into I had to look it up. You have to go into the menu and you can equip different weapon sets.
Oh.
You have to just assign them to different weapon
I
sets.
thought that
So
I
at this
thought when
point-
you found the LPs, you then had to buy them and they were $150,000.
No. That's what I thought too, and that's how I wasted all my money buying another color skin for one of my weapons that I unlocked. but you get the LPs. Hold on, Matt. You get the LPs. You go to Gates of Hell. Rodan gives you weapons, and you have to go to the menu and equip them. So at this point, I have instead of her pistols, I have shotguns, which are really good. And then I have a samurai sword, and then I have like this unarmed thing where these I'll punch and these big portals open up and these giant hands come out and will punch. And
That's just her moves.
That's just a moveset that gets.
Oh, okay.
All right,
and
Matt,
then I have a pair of like gauntlets.
I have 3 questions.
Yeah.
Question 1, Jim, have you intentionally been styling your hair up so you look like you have little devil horns?
Yeah.
No, it's just really I
kinda
need
getting
a haircut
Wolverine
really
hair.
bad. I don't have my next haircut scheduled until Monday.
Oh, I like that.
So I do
Keep
have Wolverine
you do.
hair.
It's kind of amazing. Audition. You could get it.
Yeah.
Question 2, John, did you seriously not know that you could equip weapons? Are you fucking kidding me? You play video games all the
I knew
time,
you
dude.
could get-
You basically do it as like a part-time job. You can equip weapons in
know
your
you can-
menu.
Not basically. You do it as a part-time.
And
I-
number 3,
Pick up. I thought I was talking about the ones you pick up on the ground.
oh, I love the pick up weapons on the ground stuff.
Yeah.
I got a chainsaw.
Matthew,
got some
I've
cool
been playing through this
gauntlets.
game on normal. I did not know you had other weapons you could equip.
I mean, that's a failure on your part that just
Yep.
illustrates your lack of imagination, which explains why you're a fan of this game. Number 3,
Oh, that's so mean.
I can't imagine why anybody that picked this game up for the first time in their life without reading a guide did not immediately go to buying the techniques. Obviously, what you need to do is expand your fucking repertoire of moves before you start buying weapons. And number 4, there are no enemies in this game that you need certain weapons to fight. There's not. I've been playing it. There's none. It's you just
No, I
you can
didn't
punch
say-
them
that's
all.
not what I
You have
said.
a punch button and a kick button, and it works on every single fucking enemy in the game.
But when they're on fire, it damages you to punch them, and you don't do any damage
But you
to
got your
them.
gun.
Maybe
Got your gun button.
you do have your gun. That does work. And if you're in witch time, you can damage them. Or if you have one of the weapons you pick up on the ground.
So the witch
that also
time
works.
is just max pain time, which is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But it does
There's a
disable
mechanic
the,
in
the
game.
like shields they get.
Yep. I will say the one thing I don't like about the witch time, it's not a huge complaint, but I don't like that there are these little platformy sections where it's like you have to lift up these statues and then you get a 10-second countdown and then you have to dodge a lightning bolt and then you get witch time and that lets you...
And then you can open a door.
My only complaint about that is, why do I have to keep dodging this fucking lightning bolt? Like, it's not like it's hard, but it annoys me. Fuck you.
I do think they lean on that puzzle
Give me statues
too much because it's
Give me
the same
statues
thing every
that
time.
A lot.
activate my witch time. That's fine. I get it. You got to gate your game. It's not a Metroidvania, but it's similar in concept. You got to gate things off. People have to do things, but like, don't give me a fucking
the
countdown
countdown-
and make me
the
do a
countdown
fucking
is so that
dodge.
You can like the puzzle is to get to where you need to be in the time limit, basically.
That's okay. I mean, I get that. But it's the same thing so far. Maybe it changes. So far, it's the same thing every fucking time, which is
It
hit
is.
the statues, go run
Well,
over
but
to the
sometimes
door.
the statues are a little hidden. They might be in like an upstairs area.
And I had a fifth thing, but now I don't remember what it was. Oh, my fifth thing is...
Started out with 3.
My fifth thing... Yeah, I did. In fact, I started out with 2. My fifth thing is, just as a personal experience as somebody playing this game, I hit that dodge button, I think, more than I hit my attack buttons. Like, even when I can't tell what's going on.
Oh,
I'm just dodge,
really?
dodge, 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 attack, 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 dodge, 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 dodge. Now, the last couple of chapters here, I did finally just drop it down to very easy mode. Frankly, I'm surprised I made it that far into the game because I hate it and I don't like playing it. But I did, once you switch down to very easy mode, I'll be honest with you, it becomes pretty irrelevant. Mm-hmm. I do like the weapons that the monsters drop, though. That's fun, I got a chainsaw at one point. It was
the
awesome.
chainsaws. Well, Is that a weapon the monster drop, or is that a move you get to kill those flying dealies?
I definitely got a
The little manta
chainsaw that a
rays.
monster dropped.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I do, because I know one of the torture attacks you can do on the manta ray is like using a chainsaw to
Definitely
rip it in half.
every time there's a bunch of flying enemies around me, I just do that like circle
spinny
L stick and hit a button
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just start shooting everything.
That's pretty fun.
I mean, I wouldn't call it fun, but it's effective. I don't think I'd call
So
anything in this
you-
game fun. You know what? That's not true. I like running up walls. That's fun.
Yeah.
You know, I like Spider-Man games. I like running up walls.
You get a giant key, fight some angels, and then once you get up to the city itself, I love the cutscene where the angels are coming down and she realizes the angels are coming down because flowers start blooming around her. That was pretty neat. That was a really great cutscene. So the angels are coming down to fight her, and then she walks towards this like weird cliffside tunnel area, and she gets a flashback to when she was, I guess, 500 years ago, and she was fighting Fortitudo in the past.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the current time, and she gets
You can
attacked
tell
by the big
You can
titan.
tell when we're in a flashback because her clothes change.
Yeah, she's wearing like a white monk-ish outfit, not a monkey outfit, and she's got like a little silk mask on.
Yeah, instead of glasses.
Yeah,
Got to have those glasses.
And
that's a big part of it.
that's the end of chapter 1. After you kill the only really cool thing about that Titan, I like the Titan's design because it has this kind of like Zeus head mask on. That was really neat. And that's the end of chapter 1. Angel attack. I guess I'll talk about the bullshit minigame corner because that is a bullshit minigame.
I don't know.
Chapter 2.
I don't
One of
know,
those
John.
dog shit mini games I played.
I don't know, John. You were like, I didn't know it wanted me to hit Y. Isn't that what you said?
Yep. Yes.
Hey, John, did you know you can also pull the trigger and it makes the gun fire?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Also,
so fucking bad
how
at
many
video
of these
games.
Things do you have to kill?
How are you so
How
bad
many
at
of these
this?
things do you have to shoot?
You have to shoot
You have to
so many to get a fucking lollipop.
I'll tell you what. I
To
figured
get
it out.
The smallest lollipop.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
What?
A, they all move in patterns. And B, if you catch them moving up in their pattern, typically you can headshot them and kill them in one shot. It's actually pretty fucking easy because they're very slow.
So, all right.
Worst game I've ever
well,
played.
I'm bad at it. Okay, so back to
I like that I'm
Vigrid
better at this
City
game
of-
than John, but I hate it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that surprising. I'm not very good at Twitch action. I just like these games. Angels start attacking, but then Jean shows up on her cool motorcycle, and she does smush them with her motorcycle wheels. And
She's a real Mary Sue.
Can we not use words like cool when describing these characters?
no, I
She
will
shows
use
up
them
on
all
her
I want.
hokey motorcycle where we
Cool
are supposed to
motorcycle.
think it's cool, but obviously as cultured adults, we recognize this as the 13-year-old edgelord design that it is.
Listeners, if you're enjoying this kind of talk, wait until we play Final Fantasy 13, where all the summons turn into cool motorcycles.
Do they really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Also, we're never
13's
playing
great.
Final Fantasy 13. That's not happening.
Why?
Because it's
Why
not.
Maybe when does the listeners vote for it?
I'll kill them.
Oh, well, I guess that answers that.
No, I'm kidding. Actually, I would like to. I didn't like 13, but I would like to force myself to play it just because I'm a completionist in
And
some
I do
regard.
wanna
I
play
kind of want to
2
play
and
it
3.
too.
I finished the first
I
one.
played like 3 hours
No.
of it on
I'm
the
sorry.
Xbox.
I can't take you seriously, Wolverine. You're gonna have to do something about that hair. Are you fucking
Fix
kidding
my
me
hair.
right now?
I was rocking a Wolverine. But no, I played Final Fantasy 13 for a few hours, and I was like, why can't I do anything?
No, now I can't
Why
take you
can't I
seriously
go
like
anywhere?
this. I need the Wolverine hair back.
Yeah, that's sort of Astro. He turned his hair into Astro
You
Boy.
know,
and now it's back
Jim,
to
you're like a
Wolverine.
more handsome Hugh Jackman.
Aw, that's the nicest
true.
thing you've ever said.
It is.
I don't think that's true. I've told Jim I love him.
Aw. You also told me that, and I got really uncomfortable. All right. So, Jean is there. Bayonetta asks if they are sisters, and Jean is very insulted. Oh, no, that's later. Sorry. Jean says she's nothing like Bayonetta. Oh, yeah, it is that part. She's nothing like Bayonetta, and then steals her amulet. Bayonetta has a big amulet on her chest, but Jean does toss it back. And she's like, the eyes of the world are the power behind everything. Does that mean those diamonds? The diamonds are power behind everything? I guess. Flashback to Jean. This is like, so she's in this big cathedral. There's all these cult members and saying she can fight under the Umbran name, but first she has to choose a Umbran witch to fight. And she's like, I choose the outcast. And she points to a woman who looks like Bayonetta.
So at this point, we have learned that Bayonetta, I think, is the product of an angel and a demon, essentially.
Yeah, there was an opening.
Of a Lumen Sage and an Umbra Witch.
Yeah,
Now,
I forgot in the opening
series
cuts.
Preacher came out in like the early 90s. So like again, and even that was far from the first time it had been done.
That's why they call her Half-Blood, right? Because she's sort of a bit of both. This is where you get the first full moon ceiling and wall walk. So you fight Jean all across this cathedral. And then a real Jensen from Lost Odyssey shows up. He's cruising a hot Vigridian girl who's very enamored with his Loratio, like, is that a Lothario? You know
Lothario.
What I'm saying? Lothario? Yeah, his Lothario ways. He's so suave. And then suddenly he smells something. And it's Bayonetta. He starts describing the eau de toilette that she's using and the scent of rosemary. And they start, and he tries to photograph her, but he can't. She disappears. Yeah. And she calls him her Cheshire Cat.
Why did she call him that?
I guess because he like appears like Cheshire Cat does to her from the other world.
He's like appears and is he's cryptically tied to Bayonetta in a way that hasn't been revealed yet.
Well, he's sort of, because right after this, he's like, I know you and I know what I saw. Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to the lake where he's a little kid dressed like a little kid with like a propeller beanie hat.
No, he's not dressed like a little kid in a propeller hat. He's dressed like a little KKK member in his fucking hood.
I thought he had a hood. I thought he had a hat. Yeah, he just has like a little flat cap. He doesn't have a propeller, though. I was joking. But in the lake, Bayonetta is there in her casket, but explodes out. And she sees this diver who has opened the casket. And I guess she does him an explode. She doesn't seem to be taking responsibility for killing this guy's dad very seriously.
Well, because she didn't do it.
Yeah.
What? How do you know that? It seems like she does. In this cutscene. No spoilies.
Does seem like
no
she
spoilies.
Does. No spoilies for what we're going to talk about in the next 10 minutes.
Wait, no. Would you ever find out what happens to his dad?
She sees angels.
When? Yeah.
What? Angels killed the dad.
What?
Yeah, the angels like tear him apart, but Luca thinks that Bayonetta did it, which is why he's pursuing
because he can
her.
sees her,
he can't
and then
see
she goes,
the angels.
Semi-transparent, and then the dad dies.
Yeah.
And so he assumes that it's her, but it's definitely the angels that come down because they do not show up as semi-transparent, I guess.
Yeah, he doesn't. He never sees the angels.
Yeah, he does never see the angels.
That's why he thinks she's attacking him when she's saving him from angels.
That's when he gropes her like Zidane.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice the camera lingering on his hand, sliding onto her ass, and very specifically showing the hand squeeze her butt cheek? Because I fucking noticed that.
I didn't. I guess I was paying attention to something else.
Jim,
and
did
I
you
watched
notice
this
that?
cutscene like 3 times.
Notice what?
You know what? I don't want to talk to you anymore. We'll talk about it when we get there, Wolverine. Don't you even fucking worry about it.
Okay. So angels show up. Then suddenly there's a big trolley crash.
I wish I had like
this is where
long
you see
hair that I could do silly things with. I'm so jealous right now.
Me too. This is when the angel wheels show up, the biblically accurate angels that Jim loves.
Yeah.
I don't think they
and
are
then-
biblically accurate angels. They're just wheels.
I don't know. They're cool.
They're
There's
annoying.
also what I like is those are also a Japanese spirit. Is like a big wheel with fire on each spoke and like a face in the middle. That's a Japanese spirit. Anyway, pardon me. You get to a church that you saw along the way, and Bayonetta gets down on her knees and she began to pray. She began to pray. That doesn't like this game.
Vanessa's
He
not here, so
doesn't
nobody
like-
is appreciating your
No one-
song references.
Yeah, no one's joining in.
Make it a Slipknot song and we'll get it.
Bayonetta sees a ghostly vision run around, and she flips to the real world for a second, and instead of seeing some kind of gremlin, she sees a little girl, and she's like, "Oh, you're not wearing your Sunday best, are you, darling?" Like, she still has to dig a little at this child who does look like Bayonetta but little. She does look
Yeah,
like a
I
little
actually
baby
think that
Bayonetta.
this baby is Bayonetta, but little. A and B. Yeah, no, you're right. Bayonetta's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, why is she negging this poor little girl? All right. Sorry, I'm just having a drink. Then she sees this kid and then suddenly gets hit by a flashback where she's locked up in a cage and singing the song "Fly Me to the Moon," which did play over the opening.
Oh, I didn't
And it's
catch
a nice
that.
little song. Yeah,
I hate that song.
but when she wakes up from her little reverie, the little girl is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I think one of my favorite boss fights of the game so far happens, where Fortitudo sticks one of his dragon heads through the window and starts attacking her, and then he starts flying up and brings the whole church with him. That's amazing, because you're fighting in this church that's kind of attached around his neck.
I like the idea that this city is being absolutely fucking destroyed. And, like, it's kind of because of Bayonetta, but, like, she's not doing the damage here. Though when I walk around, I
like it's
definitely am,
hell.
like, breaking every pot I see.
I assume in a second that it's something to do with the devil or the demons that lava starts showing up and
I don't
burning
think so.
everything,
I think
but-
it's 100% because of the angels. I mean, what the game is telling you is that the angels are bad.
Oh, I forgot to mention before, in chapter 1, a weird voice talks to Bayonetta, like a very patronizing dad voice. Maybe it is her dad saying, "You'll awaken the eyes of the world, my child." So I wonder if it's his dad. It's her dad, I mean. I don't know. That's my guess. I could be wrong. Jim, don't tell me.
I don't know. I only watched a lore video up to the end of this chunker. So.
Oh, okay. So the girl's gone. You fight Fortitudo. I think this is an awesome attack. Fortitudo does blow up the church and then escapes. Chapter 3, The Burning Ground. Fortitudo he does show up again and talks to Bayonetta. And he's like, "Why did you wake me up? The taint of the dark world is on you. And you're getting you've only made a pact with the darkness. You're not a demon." And he's like, "Yeah, someone said one pitiful creature survived the annihilation. What is your name?" And Bayonetta's like, "You're ugly." And he says, "Well then, my apologies. If you're not my awakener, then you and I have no quarrel." And she's like, "I'll tell you if I have a quarrel with you." And she just starts shooting at him, and he disappears.
I do like how polite he is.
Yeah, he's so polite to her, and she's such a jerk to him.
I mean, they are evil.
The angels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how kind of neutral everybody is. Like, there's really no good or evil. There's just like people attacking each other. Like it really feels like a really good iteration of that whole like light dark balance thing that's in a lot of this kind of media. But I feel like it works here.
So at this point, Vigrid starts exploding. You end up in I don't want to say the word because I always mispronounce it, a cavern full of real hot, melty rocks. And there's...
I'm sorry.
What word is it that you can't feel like you can't say?
Hot, melty rocks.
Okay. I mean, to me,
Magma?
it looked like the sewers erupted and that this is just like some hot, burning sewage.
I thought it was hot rocks.
Okay, well, it's not red. It's definitely brown.
Yeah, it is. Well, okay, it's desaturated red.
It's brown. Like everything
Brown
else in
is
this game,
desaturated
so
red.
maybe it's lava, but it is brown. And it does shoot up out of the sewers.
No, it's definitely hot rocks.
No, it
And then
definitely
you have
shoots out of the sewers and it's brown.
but it's exploding the whole city.
Yeah, I mean, hot poop would do
And like
that,
there's
right?
there's like
Jim, would hot
a
poop explode
magma
a city?
flow.
Chime in.
If it was under too much pressure.
Think about all that methane gas.
That's definitely hot rocks. So you have to solve a time puzzle where you go into paradise for a second to grab like an Umbra Witch hourglass, and then you bring it back to reconstruct this bridge that collapsed. It's not really a puzzle. It's just a thing. I don't know. It was fun though.
Was it fun?
And you make your way. I liked it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Well,
You
the
make your
hot
way out
alternate
of this
take,
hole.
It's boring. It's pretty boring
The
stuff.
moon comes out. You get to walk around and sort of do a clockwise spiral out of this.
Oh, this is where
hole.
I realize that the game will just insta-kill you if you don't hit the jump button at the right time, which I really appreciate.
Oh,
like with
we
your
haven't even
shitty
talked about
camera, I love it when you're like, hey, and also if you don't nail this jump at the right time. I love games that are like trial and error by
There are
death.
actual quick time events too that are insta fail. If it's not just you don't hit the button when it appears. That's stupid. Why would you do that? You hit the button when it slightly flashes purple. I hate that. I hate those QTEs. They're terrible. Because they're insta death.
Even playing on the very easiest mode, I had a couple of deaths by this. By just not hitting the jump button at the right time when I didn't realize I was expected to hit the jump button before the thing happens, basically.
And there's also like cutscenes where suddenly there'll be QTE in the middle of it, like Resident Evil did too.
Yeah, I don't like the mid-fight QTE, like the torture attack QTEs, like 100, 200, 300 megatons, whatever.
Megatons,
I don't
by the
like
way.
that.
So fucking cringe.
Megatons, yeah.
It's so fucking
Or
cringe.
I don't like
gigatons
that.
when you're fighting a boss.
But I do like the contextual platforming QTEs. I like those.
Those can be fine. Like the ones in the next chapter or the last chapter where you're jumping up to do the big boss fight with Jean. That was fine. Okay, so you make your way out of a hole and you see a big coliseum. Chapter 4, the cardinal virtue of fortitude. So Fortitudo shows back up. He says their fate is tied to the demon world, and we share your earnest interest in this matter. However, oh no, he's not tying to her. He's tying to someone else. If she doesn't reach us alive, this conversation was all for naught. And then Bayonetta shoots at Fortitudo, and he's like, "Oh, it's real nice of you to stop me from having to look for you." Bayonetta, please forgive my prior trespass and lack of hospitality. She's like, "Oh, I'm sure you'll be much more hospitable this time."
He's very complimentary to her as well, which I really like. Fortitudo, pretty cool. I think Fortitudo, they bring him back in the next two Bayonetta games.
Oh, that's
also
good.
I think Bayonetta 2 is not technically a prequel, but it has time travel and it takes place before this one. But he's also in Bayonetta 3, I believe. So Fortitudo, good boss.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, so there's a survivor of the witch hunts resisting our dominion. Is this you?" I don't think it's her. I think it's Jean. I think that he's mixing the two ladies up. That's my hot
so too.
guess. And then she's like, "Oh, I'll just fight you and sacrifice you because the demons will like pay handsomely for you." And he's like, "Oh, you're trying to challenge me with the dark arts, witches never learn." And you fight him. And this is a boss fight in the Colosseum where he keeps breaking down pieces of the arena. And it's way easier to fight him if you're not on the ground because he does fill the ground with like hot rocks. So
and he drops a hourglass every time he breaks the one bridge that you get to rebuild. Like, it's an interesting idea, but it's like it's repetitive.
It is. Well, it had. I don't know. You have to do the same thing like 3 times basically if you do it. But the worse you do, the more times you have to do it. And then after, I do like when you kill the legs or the heads. The heads,
yeah.
It does have a really fun cutscene of like them being dragged down to hell.
Oh yes, I do like that. One thing I really was surprised by and enjoyed in this game is like up to this point, all of the mythology has been like heaven or hell, like very, very Dante kind of stuff. But then you get to Jormungandr's tower, and it starts to talk about like Aesir, and that's pulling in Norse mythology. So like
Is
I like
that
I think
the world
it's cool.
serpent, Jormungandr?
Jormungandr is the world serpent, yeah.
I only know that because of James Plett's D&D campaign, or it might have been Alternity campaign where we were doing like Jormungandr and all the sort of North mythology stuff when I was playing D&D with him.
I know it because of the rebooted God of War series.
Oh yeah,
is all Norse mythology.
It's true. But I played the D&D quest with James first.
I like that Jormungandr Tower is this big, long serpentine tower that raises up into the sky and has like a snake winding around it. Pretty cool. I like that.
But let's finish up with the Colosseum first. So you take out the heads one by one, and then you have a fight against his face, and his face like blasts you with laser beams and stuff. This is a pretty fun fight. You do make a big hole in his face. You do smash. His mouth is still there, but there's just like a big grody hole in the middle, the rest of his head. And he's like, yeah, I'm just sacrificing myself for the resurrection of the Creator. May the Creator jubilous grace you on your journey. And with that, you start falling. There's a voice saying, "My dear sweet child, fear not, I am watching over you. Continue on your path." I think this is her dad or the bad guy. It could be the bad guy because he's kind of patronizing to her in a way I don't think she likes.
So we also kind of skipped over the part of John. How'd you pronounce the other Bayonetta's name?
Jean.
Yeah, Jean.
How would you pronounce it? Jean?
I thought it was Jeanne.
That's a weird interpretation. Maybe Genie, if you want to get real bad with it.
It's a very Midwestern.
If you want to get
I think she's kind of named after Jeanne d'Arc.
Maybe Genie.
I wonder if she's supposed to be Joan of Arc, because it's the right time period.
I don't know.
500 years ago.
But also,
is it?
Like I don't even remember what I was gonna say. You guys interrupted me.
Jean?
Wolverine would never have a brain fart like this.
That's not true. He would all the time.
Yeah, it's true. Wolverine's brain don't work.
He can't remember half of his life.
Jeanne.
Yeah. Jean. All right, chapter 5, The Lost Holy Grounds. So you find yourself in this shared holy ground between the Lumen Sages and the Holy Witches. It's full. I did read the lore books you find, Antonio's
A lot
notebooks.
of lore books in this chapter.
A lot of lore books.
Can't be fucking bothered.
Game.
Cannot be bothered.
Yeah. I read a few of them.
It is full of statues. One thing that's interesting, he talks about the biggest statue of a witch who's been impaled by a Lumen Sage spear. And it doesn't really specifically show you the statue, but you can see it in the horizon when you start, and you're fighting on it with Jean at the end.
Ah.
And you do see it pull out, and you see the spear going through this statue you're fighting on for a second.
I thought this level was
I like that
extra boring, like as if the Brown City was not boring enough. This is just bridges. You just run down long brown bridges, and sometimes they break, and sometimes they spiral, but they are ultimately super fucking boring.
Well, the spiral one's a
tower,
snake.
so there's that, I guess.
Yeah, and a snake. You're walking on the back of a snake.
Yeah, that's Jormungandr.
Yeah, it's Jormungandr.
I don't think I noticed that.
So the voice says the little girl is the key to Bayonetta's future. You have to save herself. She has to save the little girl.
I think the little girl
Which makes
is
me think-
Bayonetta. Anybody else?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I think all of us. Jim, do you think that little girl's Bayonetta?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% do.
She finds her lipstick on the ground.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. We totally skipped the part where Jean stole Bayonetta's.
Oh yeah, her little
thing
heart
on her
thing.
chest.
What is that?
She has this big like clockwork thing on her chest, and there's a scene in Vigrid where Jean stole it.
But she gives
Bayonetta
it back.
has to chase her to get it back.
She
Does give it
she
back.
throws
but
it back.
Also, Bayonetta super panics when she loses it. So
Yeah.
what do you think is going on with that?
I guess it's like the only thing she has from her parents.
Oh
or
really?
something,
I
but
think it's
how
like
does she doesn't
I think
have
it's
her
keeping her
memory.
alive or something. Like
Ooh, like it's a Iron
Yeah.
Man thing. Could be.
because it's not like a necklace. It's just stuck to her chest.
It's a weird. Yeah. So she finds her lipstick on the ground, but it's actually a trap set by Luca. And I love that she grabs the lipstick and then paints Okami's or Amaratsu's little markings on his face.
I liked that too. Yeah.
I did not.
She like makes him up like the Joker a little. Like I like that.
And he's like, "Hey,
Okay,
you know,
Jim, blink twice if you need help."
Why would I need help?
I'm making him like the
Yeah.
game. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Oh no,
Jim.
I enjoy the mythology of the game.
You really do, Jim.
But you did just blink twice.
I know I do. It's really dry in here.
Yeah. Jim, don't worry. As long as you love this game, nothing bad is going to happen. So, he thinks she's threatening him. And he's like, "What are you going to do? Kill me? You know, like a lot of people will miss me if you kill me. I'm pretty powerful, and like all these girls will miss me, like Claire and Sylvia and Trish and Amy. And you don't want to get Amy mad, because watch out if you get Amy mad." Now, Amy, of course, Amaterasu, the wolf from Okami. I guess he's fucking a wolf. And Trish and Sylvia, I believe, are from Devil May Cry. I have not played those games.
I don't know that it's obvious because
you haven't played
I
Devil May
don't
Cry?
think that any of these women would give a shit if this guy disappeared.
Well, that's what he says. He says they
I
would.
understand that he says
It would
that.
break.
I'm saying that
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's true.
And Claire from Resident Evil 2, and so on. So Bayonetta once again saves his life, but he doesn't seem to notice or know that that's what she's doing. And then you go back up. You go up this tower. This tower is pretty long. You have to like go out some windows and back inside a few times. There's one of those puzzles with the statues that's on the upper floor, and you have to get down to the lower floor in order to open a door. And there's a little pool at the top.
You got to get down
And
to the
then you
lower floor to open the door.
I did find a door to a side area where you can beat up some monsters to get extra money, but I couldn't do it. Maybe because I didn't have the weapons. You can only use punches and kicks, though. to beat up these monsters. You have a strict time limit, and only I think like 10 punches and 7 kicks in order.
Oh yeah,
to
it's like
defeat 2
Nibelheim or
enemies.
something, right? Alfheim?
Yeah, Alfheim. It was Alfheim.
Oh, Alfheim. This Alfheim thing, that's where the elves live in Norse mythology, by the way. I did one of these, but there's a lot of them. I only found one.
I only found the
There's
one,
so many.
and I
I
tried
was-
it and was just like, I cannot be bothered. Fuck you.
I was watching a playthrough of the first
Not
5
you.
chapters, and I missed like 10 of these.
Oh, really?
Because, like,
I only found one.
yeah, me too. There's so many of them hidden in little nooks and crannies around the levels. Anyway, so you get up to the top and you see a ghostly image of a big, huge, like mecha angel. But you get up there and things start collapsing. You do some jumps, and Jean is there talking to a mecha angel.
I'm sorry. Whoa. We skipped by Bayonetta. Is it
The
hang
game?
on. She finds her lipstick on the ground.
We're talking about-
Bayonetta.
Yeah.
She's talking to Luca. They're having a conversation, and then she looks at him and she jumps and grabs him into the air. And they spin, and the camera lovingly, adoringly focuses on her ass.
Oh, is this where he grabs your butt?
As Luca's hand reaches down and very clearly grabs her ass. I just want to be very clear.
How did I not
it's
notice?
Not even
I
like
didn't notice this.
It's not even a question of like the character model's hand sliding down to her butt. It both does that, and then they model his fingers tightening on her butt cheek. And then
And there is a honk honk sound.
they're laying on the ground.
Awooga,
and
awooga.
as they're laying on the ground with her on top of him, he leans his head in and nuzzles her fucking bosom. I'm not even fucking kidding. And then she
He's like,
sits
I
up
love
and
you,
straddles
Daddy
him.
Killer, Mommy.
This is the grossest game we've ever played on this fucking show. It's gross.
Sure.
It's gross. This is grosser than the brother and sister marriage.
Is this grosser than The Quiet Man?
Yeah.
The
say
Quiet Man didn't show people groping each other without consent.
But he did date his mommy girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Fighting me.
Yeah.
Why do you do this?
So that big mecha angel's like, you're meddling in the affairs of the angels, and Jean
That
turns
sounds
around
like
and
the
sees
title of a
Bayonetta's
Neon
there.
Genesis Evangelion episode. Big Mecha Angel.
It does.
Jean decides to finally fight Bayonetta. The angels keep trying to kill both of them, and Jean's getting mad. But she's like, oh, maybe I can use this to my advantage. So you fight for a while. This took me a while. The worst part was, so I started using items, but the first time I used an item right near the end, I was like, okay, I've got my health back. She's got like 2 slivers of health left. I can defeat Jean and finish this. The game, as soon as I used the item, I went back to the game and the camera was like blocked. I couldn't see anything and she just killed me. I couldn't see anything.
I mean, I don't think
The camera
that was like intentional on the game's part. I just think that it sucks. Though it's not it's not a huge complaint towards the game so much as towards the era where they had kind of almost figured out cameras but couldn't really get them to work all the time. Like I had a cutscene.
Yeah, this is the only time
where Bayonetta
that
was
the
like
game
talking to
didn't
somebody
work.
and then walked through a door, and the whole time the camera was just pointed at like her shoulder blade. And I was just kind of like,
wow.
okay,
Yeah.
like this sucks, but I don't think they did
I
this
didn't see that.
intentionally.
So you fight Jean. How did you find this fight? How is it on easy, Jim?
I thought it was really easy, actually. Like, I think I told you this yesterday. I had more trouble at the base of the Jormungandr Tower. There's your first, like, shielded enemy. I had more trouble with that one enemy than any other boss fight or enemy in this whole chunker. That one almost, I like hit a wall with that guy. I don't know what the deal was. But my fight with Jean was super easy.
Makes me really glad I put
But
it
I
on
feel
very
like-
easy mode because I don't think I've seen a shield yet.
I've been really flexing on these other weapons I got. Like this katana I got is amazing.
I'll
and
have
these
to,
shotguns, super
At least
good.
you can redo the older chapters too, so I can like play them again with the weapons.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't
totally.
imagine why
Money.
anybody would want to do that.
Because it's fun.
Because people want to get high scores.
Yeah,
They
so
live for that shit.
Jean's like, even though you defeat her, Jean's like, Bayonetta, you're not ready. And then she transforms into a cat and runs away and then transforms into a bird. And Bayonetta is like, oh, let me try that. She turns into a jaguar and jumps in front of the moon. There's a row.
There is a wow.
That's the end of the chapter. I also forgot when Bayonetta defeats Fortitudo, she does turn into a big crow
Yeah.
with lots of eyes. I love that transformation.
Oh no, that's her like spirit animal that she calls. She calls him a couple times.
Oh, okay. I thought it was her.
Yeah, no. That's like her summon that she does.
Well, it's made of her hair,
really
so
cool.
she's not summoning it. She's creating it, but she does. That's what
Yeah.
she uses to
It's
punch
cool,
the
though.
hole through Fortitudo. Is her big bird hair bird.
Yeah. Fortitudo is super dope.
Fortitudo is a good name. I did really like. Really like when you turn into a cat. That was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the last 10 seconds of this chunker, so there wasn't a lot to it, but I liked it.
Yeah.
It was fun. I want to be a cat. Maybe this game
guess
has
you can
interesting
do that from
powers.
now
I mean, I
on.
like the wall climbing
Tap
stuff.
into ZR. I'm excited for next time. So next time on Bayonetta, we will complete Chapter 11. We will file for bankruptcy, and it'll be great.
So wait, John, next chunker is what?
Chapter 11.
That's it?
Through chapter 11. Okay. This is the long chunker.
Yeah, because I figured it'd be fun. Well, but this was already 6 chapters because the prologue's pretty long.
Oh, prologue too, yeah.
And so the
Good
next
call.
one's 6.
Good call.
The last one will be 5.
All right. Okay.
And with that, let's talk about a bullshit minigame. Matthew, can you sing me into my corner?
Bullshit minigame corner!
So this time we have Angel Attack, where you can get some bullets throughout these levels. Sometimes enemies drop them. And Matthew's really good at it, and I am terrible.
It's bad. It's not good.
My highest score in this game is 38.
I got 25 as my highest score for this. What's your highest score, Matt?
I don't know. I was able to
You
buy
keep
some
bragging.
stuff.
You feel like
Did you know you can buy
Yeah, I
like
wasn't
a
able to
witch
buy
heart that'll
anything.
give you like double health for the next level? It's cool.
no, that sounds
I
amazing.
didn't know that.
Anyway, so Matt, what are you squarely
This whole
against?
fucking game. And what you have done.
Oh, actually, I didn't.
And the crimes you have committed against this podcast. Yeah, like I don't like this. It doesn't help that I don't like the game style, right? Like this is just not my type of thing.
You don't like a
Not
Ninja
your
Gaiden.
genre.
You don't like a old God of War.
It's not my genre.
You don't
It's
like.
okay.
Then
Yeah.
add on top of that, like a cheese level that is so high that it's offensive, and character and world designs that are so bad that I hate them. And also, I just don't ever really appreciate a game that is like desperately trying to make my dick hard. I don't like it. I'm not into it.
I don't think it's trying to make your dick hard. I think it's trying to make Hideki Kamiya's
I
dick
don't.
hard.
I mean, okay. That seems like a distinction without a difference because this is literally a game that can be played with one hand if you put it on the easy mode. And I legitimately think that that's intentional. That they were like, let's make an easy mode so dudes can jerk off while they play this game.
I think that was the subtext of it. Yes.
Okay. Well, I fucking hate it.
Wolverine, what about you?
I will say that
Call me
I'm
Bub.
roundly
Huge
for
Jack man.
Bub. Bub, I'm roundly for this chunker. I think the only drawback for me in playing this game is the arcadiness of it. The accruing points and getting a score and having to worry about that is just a thing I don't give a shit about.
Do you wish
but
you could turn it
also-
off?
But yes, but also it bothers me when I don't get a platinum after a battle. Like what did I do? Yeah, that's how I feel about it. John, what are you squarely against?
Enzo. I think he's a real Jar Jar Binks. Why are they
Yeah.
putting
Jim
so
Banks,
much?
I believe, is the.
Sorry, a real Jim Banks. He sucks, and they put too much effort and time into him talking, and him talking is like nails on a chalkboard. Because I really like everything else in the game, just don't like him.
Yeah, I never really enjoyed my time with this game so far, but definitely that prologue with Ponytail Joe Pesci was the worst part.
All right, Vanessa reads emails, except that she won't because she's off on the injury list.
Also, we don't get emails.
Oh.
We haven't for a minute.
Yeah, listeners, squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know that Vanessa, give us your sympathies for Vanessa and
Oh yeah, give us your get well messages for Vanessa. She would love that. SquareRootsPodcast@gmail.com. Just drop us a little line, a little
I mean, alternately
Hey, Wolverine.
agree with my take on this or argue with my take on this. I'm willing to entertain both sides.
tell him that he's right or wrong.
Not from you two.
Matt, both sides, Van Zant.
Yeah, Matthew, both sides are bad Van Zant. That's what they call me.
Now,
I'm
Jim,
voting
what's a Patreon?
uncommitted on this game.
Oh, our Patreon is full of just treasures. This month, actually just today, as of the time of this recording, we released our February bonus, which is a commentary track for Roger Corman's Fantastic Four film from 1992? 3?
4.
1994, never officially
1994.
released. So 1994 is when it was completed, not when it came out, because that didn't happen.
Yeah, that was a good time. I feel like we are getting really good at our riffs, by the way. I think our riffs are getting super sharp. I like doing those movie commentaries. We have a few of those on the Patreon. This next month, I'm pretty sure that because it's my month, that I'm going to ask you guys to play the free-to-play Silent Hill game that was released.
At least it's only like
earlier
3
this
hours,
month.
right?
Yeah, it's only like it's like 2.5 hours.
I feel like I don't have time for that, though. Between my PUBG times,
You
my
definitely
Bayonetta
do.
times,
Yeah, you
my
definitely
Persona Reload
Final Fantasy
times,
times.
and my Final Fantasy VII remake rebirth times.
do. You definitely do.
I don't know. Probably not going to happen.
You got time.
Yeah, it'll be
You got
two-hander. It's fine.
But you can find all those great episodes as well as a whole slew of level up episodes, instant classic episodes on our Patreon at patreon.com/squarerootspodcast. Another benefit of being a patron at the $5 level is you get to vote on the games that we play on the show. Next game we play is not a vote. We're switching it up a little bit this year, but the game after that will be. But no matter what tier you subscribe at, we definitely like to thank all of our patrons on the air, or a smattering of them every week. Not all of them every week, but a smattering of them. I'm going to kick us off this week by thanking Johnny Five Alive, Frost Terror, Doom Train, Daniel Wood, a sentient picture of a banana,
Oh no.
Brandy, No One Expects a Dragon Age Inquisition, Omaha Zookeeper,
Who's that?
Dragon Age Uition, Dragon
Dwagon.
Age Uition,
Dwagon Age.
Dragon Age.
I think I
Inquisition.
destroyed Dragon Age Uition, and
Didn't
oh
like that.
no,
I'd like to thank Joseph, Stephen Paget, David Pascal, Gigantified Micro Space Hamster, Codab Games, Ryan Schmidt, Julie, hey, it's me, Vivian, and Sean Gonzalez.
I'd like to thank Jesse's Mom's Pizza, Magpie Juju, My Battery is Low, Fresh Eyes, Lord Seeker's Epic Templar Tantrum, Sexy Grandma's Retirement Home, Mike, Zachary Bullet Ant Harbison, and David Shook.
All right, everyone, that's it for this episode of Square Roots. If you'd like to send an email, and I know that you do like to, you can send it to squarerootspodcast@gmail.com. Come see us at our Facebook group, the Square Roots Podcast Group, for smart, cool, very attractive people. Or find us on Blue Sky at squarerootspod.bsky.social.
Please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, Ghana, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks to Stephen Morris for Square Roots theme. You can find Stephen on X, on Blue Sky. Don't use X. And he's Beige on YouTube. Links in the show notes.
All right, for Square Roots, I am Jim Banks.
I'm Matthew Hostage Van Zant.
No. You're not a hostage. You're there because you deserve to be there. And I'm Johnny Brandon.
Bye.
Bye.